Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 462. Sarah Miller, the disc golf guy, coming in remotely from the other side of the country. I'm out in Flagstaff. Johnny V's back in Milwaukee.
You're looking
What's
pretty
going on,
good for
Johnny?
remote. I'm not gonna lie, Terry.
Yeah, I am currently at what's called the Little America Hotel,
I've
a
been
hotel
there
you and I stayed here almost not quite 20 years ago
for a
to the
disc
day,
golf
but
tournament, not just some random motel we crashed at.
No, no, or any kind of getaway or vacation. No, we were here 20 years ago for the PDGA Pro World Championships, which at that time was all pros of all kinds. It didn't matter your age, but it was all the professional divisions. And here we are, we're back. Pro and Am Worlds taking place this week. The first day of competition is in the books. And yeah, looking forward to having a good show tonight.
We had enough to talk about tonight. That's for sure. There's been no shy. I feel like it's been forever. Like I was going through some withdrawals. 2 weeks ago I couldn't join because I had an internet issue at the house where
Mm-hmm.
found
Mm-hmm.
out that long story. Maybe we'll save it for the after show about what happened with the internet. And then last week I was on vacation and it was 4th of July on Tuesday, so we kind of were going to reschedule, but it just didn't end up working out for me for sure. And then I was going to kind of leave it up to you, but obviously with your busy schedule, it didn't really work out for you either. So last week was like the first week in years that there was no Smashbox show.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We haven't skipped any come Christmas or anything like that at any point. It doesn't matter. Either
Maybe.
way, nonetheless, we're here
I
tonight,
don't know. What I
and
tell people.
yeah, welcome in. I'm just getting caught up on the message board actually myself, seeing that you guys are all here. A couple quick things that we know we'll be talking about tonight that come to mind. First of all, obviously, we're going to talk about the Pro and Am Worlds. We'll be able to discuss a little bit about what went down so far today. We'll also be able to talk about the silver event that just took place, the KC Wide Open, the 41st annual, I believe, KC Wide Open. And then we also saw a little bit of overseas action. The Shaletvia Open took place. We can touch on that. And then a little later, he's at dinner right now. This is like a big family reunion, as always, at Worlds. We're going to be joined by a very special guest, someone that I've been thinking about having on the show for the last few months. And now tonight, it works out perfect. We're going to have Mike Hughes. And the real quick intro to Mike Hughes is that he is heading up the Flying Disc Museum. He is one of the main curators and orchestrators and organizers of the Flying Disc Museum, which is an online museum that's got literally tens of thousands of artifacts of disc golf and frisbee related items out there. It's not just disc golf, it's frisbee related. They're putting on a really great show and program, we'll say here Thursday night in person, which I'm going to record. But tonight he's going to be able to kind of jump in and give us a little bit of what we could expect to see from the show and what the Flying Disc Museum is all about. He'll give us the abridged version, and then Thursday night I'm going to record it and eventually I'll put it out on my channel at some point. So really cool that we're going to have Mike. He's out at dinner with a couple of other fellow collectors and disc golfers, and so he's going to jump in with us probably in about 90 minutes or so. So we'll have him tonight as well. So yeah,
Sounds
that's what we got.
fantastic.
Yeah, how's that sound?
I mean, I think it's fine. Someone asked if we're gonna review the preserve as well because we missed last week.
Oh, sure, we could talk about that. Yeah, what the heck? Why don't you pull it up, Johnny?
Okay,
I'll try and pull it up on my screen as
I
well.
got it right
And
now.
let's talk a little preserve. I'm game because I did see Kale LaVisca out
Yeah,
here. So
yeah,
yeah,
and
let's talk.
I think he's like tied for the lead or something, or
Eh,
close to it.
yeah.
All right, so the preserve actually it continued a streak, so to speak. I don't say a streak, a trend, that we've been seeing from the Pro Tour this year, where home state competitor wins.
Mm,
Katrina Allen considers Minnesota her home state. She took down the FPO field. We saw Gannon Burr in Iowa, Kat Murch in Arkansas.
Arkansas. Yep. Yep.
There was one more before that as well. Drawing a blank. I know there was one more before them. Trying to go back in my head. And we honestly just saw it again for Kansas City with Allie Smith, which is really
Yeah.
cool. So there's I think we're at 4 or 5 now home state winners. It's a trend this year. So if you're going to bet on somebody, make it the home state competitor. But Katrina Allen wins this one by 3 strokes over Kristen Tatar. It got really close towards that final round with like 9 holes to go, but then Kristen Tatar had a hit a bump in the road, so to speak, and took a few bogeys on that back nine. And Katrina Allen just kind of took one birdie, but just really very steady, ends up winning by 3. And it was really a 2-woman race because the next closest was Holland Hanley, who was looking like she had a chance kind of mid-second round, but ended up tailing off. Never could quite catch up that third round. Fourth place was Missy Gannon by 2 strokes, tied with Kat Murch and Ella Hansen. Seventh, Haley King and Paige Pierce. Ninth, Valerie Mondahano. So we're seeing Valerie Mondahano start to kind of get her disc golf legs under her, so to speak, and get into the competitive spirit. And in 10th place, someone who I'm sure we'll be talking about later tonight, Jen Allen. She's competing at the Masters Worlds right now, but she took 10th in FPO at Reserve. Did you have any insight into anything particular about the Preserve and FPO
Yeah,
with
as you
Katrina
kind of
winning
alluded to, yeah, it feels
over?
so long ago. You're right. No, real quick, what I would just say to that, of course, congratulations to Katrina. Um, Maybe some of those home state vibes. She was really, emotional and talked about some of the other things that were going on. The conversation that took place at the press conference regarding essentially Natalie Ryan, transgender athletes. That was very much part of the news cycle for that week. I feel like. Especially now, even a couple of weeks later, it's obviously been talked to death at this point in terms of everything that went down. So Katrina Allen, just getting into her form and performing at a high level, and like you kind of just talked about, Kristen made it very interesting. I mean, getting all the way to where she did in knotting it up with Kat, and then just like it was just like this almost instant snap of back to she regressed. And what an exciting battle that it was. I remember being in the booth and everything that was going on, thinking, "Oh my gosh, look what's just happened!" And then just like that, in the next few holes, it just was all washed away. And then any momentum that was there was just completely gone. And quite surprising, quite honestly. I mean, there was some statistics that I'm now a little fuzzy on, but I think it's that Katrina Allen has maybe never lost going into a final round, up 4 or more strokes,
3
three
or
or more
4,
strokes,
something like that.
and
And
or
Kristen
similarly, yeah,
Kristen Tatar
she's never
hasn't
overcome a
won.
3 stroke deficit. Seriously?
She's like 0-17 or something along those lines, with a 3-stroke deficit. And there was some talk about if that's kind of, I don't know, if that's like the magic number, 3 to 4 strokes in the FPO field. And I don't think necessarily it has much to do. A lot of it depends on the course, because on this course, we saw that anything could have happened on those back nine. There was plenty of room for birdies or bogeys, and it's a very scoreable course, as we can see uh, by the scores, with Katrina at 20 after 3 strokes. So she averaged, seven around, 7 under. So, and
Yeah.
in this particular round, she only shot 4. Missy Gannon had the hot round at 7. So there was room. I don't think it was necessarily the 3 strokes. There was definitely room to be had. It just didn't happen. And
Yeah,
it's
again, the fact that she hasn't overcome a 3 stroke deficit to go on to win is shocking, just because we know how good she is. But she did. She did catch that 3 strokes, and made it the battle that it was. And so obviously she remained, her statistic stayed intact, so to speak. But it is a little bit mind blowing to see that of her. And maybe it wouldn't be as mind blowing if you're like, okay, well, that's where she has been, that's where she's fallen short, or she hasn't been able to overcome one, and then she was down 2 or 3 or 4 throughout the entire round, and you're like, okay, well, yeah, it was enough strokes and it was no big deal, but she erased those, and then like we said, it went back the other way. So anyway, congrats yet again. Uh, we we've put we say this all the time, we've put such a high expectation, I feel like, on Kristen for winning, because we've just become accustomed to it. What is she now? Seven wins and 12 starts this year, I think, when you add in that event.
yeah.
Um, So it's, she's clearly having still an incredible year, but Kat picks up her second win of the season. And just like that, Kat has that many more points she's so much closer to Kristen in terms of the Disc Golf Pro Tour standing. So, yeah, that's about all that I have on that. If you move over to the MPO side, if you want to quickly recap what we
Sure.
saw over there, Bradley Williams not in the country
He did not.
to
He was not able to
defend his
defend.
title.
Yeah, I think we talked about that a few weeks ago. That he was overseas, and if you follow Bradley on social media, you'll know why he was overseas. He's got
Yep.
himself. His significant other is over there. Luque is playing, and he played a bunch of European events. He played a few similar to what Paul did as well. He
Mhm.
he racked up a few. One of which was a win over Paul over there. So good for him. But talking about the preserve, Ricky Wysocki wins this one pretty handily. 5-stroke win over Cole. It felt like there was no stopping Ricky, and Cole made a heck of a run, as I've said for all season, the streakiest player we have on tour, because Cole will just get into a zone and he's unstoppable. If he could dig down and hit that particular gear more than just one round an event, the guy would be so deadly. But Cole ended up shooting 5 strokes worse than Ricky. Ricky was able to more or less walk it in on the last 9 holes. We knew he was going to get at least 3 to 4 birdies, and that's all he needed. So Ricky over Cole, and then tied with Cole was also Calvin Heimberg, and Calvin just started out the round slow. Never really, again, nobody was catching Ricky, so it was kind of a one-man race after two rounds. Eagle McMahon with a 14 under, almost catching Cole's hot round for 4th place. Tied for 5th place, you've got Double G and James Proctor. 7th place was a 3-way tie between Prez, Alden Harris, James Conrad, and then tie for 10th place between AB and GB, Gannon Burr. I don't think I
Yeah,
can do G.
sure.
I don't
Yeah,
think I can do G. No, I was questioning the fact that I called him GB. I don't like it. Not a fan. AB works out.
I mean, it's
AB
on his
rolls off the
hat.
tongue. It is, but AB
It's on
rolls
his
off the
hat.
tongue. GB does not. I'm sorry I ever said it. I will stop. But
I
Gannon
don't know.
Burr
I mean,
tied for 10th place.
okay. Well, it was a shootout, as you would expect. A million birdies out there. People continue to love to be at the property. People love the atmosphere, the aura, the environment, all of that stuff. The extracurriculars, the camping out right at the facility, right there on the preserve, the tubing, the hiking, the rock hunting, all those types of things. So it sounds like overall, of course, a huge success. And then, interestingly enough, as we'll talk about more, Kale essentially, switching up his gears, obviously taking off, the tournament director role and hat to then turn around and come out and compete for his first Pro Masters Worlds title, which we'll talk about more in a minute. But yeah, so congrats on that side. And then, of course, we rolled right into a lot of players started, either taking a weekend off. Some started rolling out of the country. Some, took a drive and then took the weekend off. I mean, there were just pros scattered everywhere, literally around the world.
Mm-hmm.
But this weekend, KC wide open, Johnny.
Uh,
Recap it.
yeah, I will recap it real quick. But just in general, I think there was a lot of discussion about KC Wide Open and people playing in general. The fact that you saw so many people sign up for the event that ended up just bailing out of the event. I want to say they had like 20 some players withdraw
Hmm.
in like the final week. I think
Which, first of all, isn't that uncommon for a silver event? And
it's
second of
not.
all, I I would have never placed a bet on a ton of those people, largely considering the international travels. Like that's a tough weekend to expect
It's
all of the top players to actually be there. And yeah, that's what I'll
I
say about
agree,
that.
and I think I saw a few people online that were disappointed in the fact that it wasn't getting the turnout. Hey, we have this event, we want people to show up. We bought tickets ahead of time, and now half the players
Hmm.
aren't coming. It's a discussion that's going to be had for a while, especially when we have the European swing. You're going to have silver events that these people sign up for months ahead of time, and then they can decide. Someone like a Calvin, who is kind of the one of the big names who withdrew relatively last minute, if you didn't, if you weren't in the know, it appeared to be last minute for Kelvin. Um,
Yeah.
and that he went overseas and whatnot. So just we'll talk about it at some point in the future again because it's going to happen again. But let's talk about the people that did show up to the KC Wide Open. And this time we'll start with MPO. We'll go with winning this one was Gannon Burr. So coming back after not shooting very well at the reserve for his standards, I think it was 10th, as we said, going to KC
Hmm.
Wide Open. It was a battle. Honestly, that was a very good battle between him and Joey Buckets, Jake Hebenheimer. Uh, Gannon ended up just being able to keep his foot on the gas all the way down to the last few holes and to win by 2 strokes over Joseph Anderson, but as everyone knows him as Joey Buckets.
Yeah, and so a couple quick things on that. First of all, uh, uh, I don't know if I was validated in the sense that I was guessing that was one of the youngest lead
Mhm.
cards that we've seen in an Elite Series. Just in the terms of who was all on it,
It had to
and
be.
it may or may not have been. I felt like it was, and I love the fact that I've gotten to know the likes of Joseph Anderson, of Joey Buckets, and some of the, Sullivan Tipton and Joey Buckets were in the final round on the lead card along with Paul Macbeth at Throwdown the Mountain, and they all put on a display in their own ways. And I think that was absolutely awesome. So of course little not so shameless plug to talk about seeing that's where some of these A tier, some of these other events that aren't just Silver Series, aren't I don't want to say aren't just, but aren't Silver Series or are not on the Pro Tour in an Elite Series. Some of these other events, I just absolutely love covering them for this exact reason. I see the Sullivan Tiptons and the Joey Buckets and the Dylan Sepolas and just all these other guys that have really come up that are going to be household names in the next couple of years. They're absolutely our next generation of top tier golfers, and so it was really cool to see. And then Johnny or nor I think I speak for both of us when we say we didn't consume much of the event, if any.
I
Neither of
was
us were
driving.
working it, and yeah, you were driving, I was traveling, and neither of us were working in the event. However, one of the big storylines that came out of it was that on the very first day, Gannon Burr took an unorthodox or a unique
Hole
Gannon
12.
line on hole number 12 and was able to get up and down for birdie, if I recall, right? That wasn't an eagle, that was a birdie.
Yeah, it was a birdie because he
And
ended up going out of bounds barely, it looked like. He threw, now it's a tunnel shot, what you should be shooting a tunnel shot. He stepped kind of back off the tee pad. It was more the middle of the tee pad and shot up a giant anhyzer around the
yep,
fairway. Ended up just barely out of bounds. Was still able to get up and down because I believe it was a par 5. Was still
yes.
able to get up and down from there to put in. I think it was a 30 or 40 footer for birdie, which caused a little bit of, I don't say ruckus, but it definitely raised some eyebrows with the tournament staff, with the
Mhm.
PDGA, and maybe a few other competitors who then went out and looked at that shot and said, yeah. And it was quickly, the kibosh was put on that very quickly because they deemed it dangerous in that it was such a blind shot that I believe it was people on 13 or was it 11? It was another hole. I think it was 13. I think it was the next hole. Um, could be considered in danger because it was
Sure.
so blind. Even though Gannon and everyone said no, he didn't come anywhere near us for this, there was a potential for it. So the tournament staff reached out to the PDGA and they worked together to actually, which is required, to change the hole in the middle of an event. And they added a Mando that kind of forced him to go up the gut, so to speak,
Yeah.
of which he signed the Mando, which I thought was kind of funny and cool.
Yeah, and so there's a couple big takeaways to that for me. First and foremost, I don't think I don't know how I could say it politely. Just like kind of get a clue before you go all in on being an idiot online.
No,
I,
I don't think
I
so.
I know that I know I'm
Nope.
talking about the internet, but the amount of people that then were barking about changing the course, and yes, it is a rule. You typically cannot do that, but the very first post addressing it said that they reached out and they went through all the channels, and in this unique situation, they were granted the permission to change the whole or to add that Mando. And all I saw for the next 2 days
This is your chance to do
was,
the internet
"You can't
voice.
do it. You can't do it. No, you can't go changing it. That's not allowed. You're not allowed to change it. I don't believe they did that." It was clear. It was clear from the very first effing post that they got a waiver. They were allowed to do it. But idiots on the internet just had to run with how they thought they knew so much more. Ugh, just
Safety
stop.
concern. That's what it comes down
Like
to, a safety concern, because
I
the
get I get all like yeah, and
yeah,
just the
we
fact
saw it
that all
before.
the proper
It's
procedures and channels, those were all taken and addressed. But everybody on the internet now knows more about what was happening at the tournament than I don't know, the staff, the PDGA,
Mhm.
and the Disc Golf Pro Tour apparently, because they read a thing from a guy who was another guy that thought he knew. Just
I'm
stop.
with you, T Bear.
Stop.
I'm with you. It
So anyway, now my second takeaway to this though, I had mixed feelings. I understand that it was a unique scenario and that the Mando was added. I'm not second guessing any of that. Safety concerns, so on and so forth. Obviously, it wasn't ideal that it was done after one round. I get all of that. I understand all of that, but it was done and it was done in all the proper channels. I worry that again, if you don't fully know the story and you just see Gannon signing the Mando sign, I worry that that snap, again, judgment and view of that gives the wrong impression of vandalism, and I
course
know
destruction. I was thinking the
it
same
was
thing.
all in jest, and it was all funny, and it was all, again, part of the bigger story. A quick glimpse, though, at what was going on, not knowing the story, it very much could give the impression, again, to somebody not, up to speed, that why is he writing on a course sign? Because, of course, you would not,
You would hope that
otherwise
if you
yeah.
saw that, you would do a little bit of research. Anyone that's slightly in the know, if you see someone that you recognize, Gannon, one of the, if not top 3 biggest names in our sport right now, if you recognize him, you're probably following the tour of some sort. You know that he wouldn't vandalize a course, and so getting that, you would look at it and you would think, well, why is he doing that? And you'd dig into it. I don't worry about that as much. It did cross my mind. I will be
Mhm.
honest. Maybe you and I have a coming from similar backgrounds and perspectives. Maybe that's why we both thought of it. But I don't worry so much about it. I will say that.
Yeah, and Mike saying on the board, the autograph was completely explained on the live broadcast. I get that, and I'm glad. I'm all good with it. I know that
Mhm.
if you're not watching the live broadcast, you're not listening to it, and like you
If you
said,
just
Johnny,
catch it
if
on
you're
social
not
media
if
and
yeah, if all of a sudden you just see Gannon signing a Mando sign, you may not immediately, have that context, and therefore, so it could give a wrong impression, as well, but
because we all know we're all in the
nonetheless.
same camp. None of us want to see disc chargers. None of us want to see people signing baskets when they get an ace. None of us want that. And so that
Yeah.
I could understand how someone would view that. But let's go back. Let's talk more about the results a little bit. We'll move on from third place, which was Jake Hebenheimer. Fourth place, a name that we've been hearing a lot more of, which is Sullivan Tipton. Sullivan has kind of started to spring up over the last month or so. Really, you saw him shoot really well at the country club at DDO,
Mhm.
because I made the joke saying, for some reason, his name, Sullivan Tipton, there's no more appropriate name to be winning at a country club. It sounds like an '80s villain that's going to beat up the nerd. That's he's going to walk on the course with a sweater tied around his shoulders. But Sullivan shooting 23, taking fourth place. Fifth place, Kevin Kiefer. Tie for sixth between Emerson Keith and Bobby Burridge. Three-way tie for eighth between Matt Oram, Nick Newton, and Evan Scott. Very this event, especially for MPO, but I think even for FPO, a very good event for younger players, not quite as established on tour, because most of the established players were able to take the week off. So it was a good chance to get your name out there in that. Only a few points, but get a few points in the Silver Series, but really silver event. Sorry, not series, silver event, and just kind of maybe make a slight name for yourself.
Yeah, it was. Of course, I feel like most of our silver events that way. On the beginning half of the year, it's a little bit tougher considering there might be some of our, our I don't know super pros or our higher finishers or our regulars household names. But yeah, as the year wears on, like you said, it provides those opportunities, camera time, uh, playing in front of the crowds, the galleries, all of that stuff. Yeah, perfect opportunity, and hopefully those guys are finding ways to take advantage of it. And then over on the FPO side, first time winner.
Allie Smith, one of
Heck
our
yeah.
personal favorites. We had her on the show last, I believe it was last year with Tyler Brickley when she signed with DGA. She made a guest appearance, I believe, on our show. So go check that out if you want a little interview with Allie. She was the only competitor to shoot under par in that division. She was
Mhm.
at 1 under total. She shot a 1 over that final round, but she had a 2-stroke victory over Holland Handley. Holland had a chance on the final hole to make it a little bit interesting. If she would have hit the putt, it would have forced Allie to make the putt, which she did anyway. She was only, it looked like about 15 out, and then had to make a slight comeback. But you know what? You put that pressure on, that 15-footer maybe looks more like 20 to 25 feet. We we just saw, or if you pay attention to any social media, you just saw, I think it was Jakob,
Yakub Samarad.
Jakub
Yeah.
Samarad, a 4-putt on a hole, just not be able to draw metal back and forth. So anything can happen with our pros. But anyway, Holland not able to pull out a victory in KC Wide Open. Allie Smith getting this one. Tied with Holland Handley was Hannah Wynn. So that was pretty awesome. Hannah kind of she made a name for herself a little bit earlier this season at, which event was it, Terry? Was it
In North Cove
North Cove?
was
Thank you.
where I believe she finished third there as well.
Yes, third there as well. Fourth place, Lisa Fakis. Fifth place, Casey Pennington. Tie for sixth place between Candice Burge, your former rookie or former AM world champion.
Hmm.
And tied for sixth was Vanessa Van Dyken. Eighth place was Shelby Dutton. And a tie for ninth place between Emily Beach and Deanne Carey. But ultimately, the real story was Allie Smith. She really showed everybody that she has, you know, some phenomenal potential out there. And if you
Uh,
look at, it's funny because if you look at Allie Smith's scorecard, she had 2 really bad holes where it just not usually very Allie Smith like, I will say. She's relatively steady competitor. She doesn't get herself into a lot of trouble, but she's also not going to wow you with compared to some of the other in the top of the FPO. She's just a very good player. And she had 2 really bad holes on hole 3 and hole 6, and she still ended up pulling out the victory. So congratulations to Allie. And honestly, as I said on social media as well, Team DGA, all they had to do was dump Tyler Brickley, and
yep.
and
Check.
and DGA starting to dominate. Katrina Allen, Allie Smith. We
Hmm.
now know what the anchor was.
Yeah, that makes sense. I
Holding
mean,
the
what does
whole
that
team
guy even know?
holding the whole team down. If you want a little,
Yes.
if you Bobby, our good friends of ours, Bobby Brown just did an interview with Tyler Brickley. I think they released yesterday or today. I listened to it. It's good.
Mm.
Go ahead and listen to it. Tyler's an amazing person, and we wish him nothing but the best for his future endeavors. And hopefully he'll continue to do some disc golf stuff. But I'm excited. Fun stuff.
Yeah, and real quick, I will add on. You said Allie Smith. Obviously, the storyline there, as she eventually did pull it off. Also, kind of busting out in the first round. I believe she had the lead after the first round was Casey Pennington. She ended up sliding back a little bit as the weekend went on, but seeing her come out, not necessarily a name that you're used to seeing up at the top. She's been out there battling for a few years, been on the tour. Awesome to see her as well. So it's just kind of just like we said on the MPO side, some of these names that you may not see and hear every single weekend that aren't quite household names, but Casey Pennington, going out there and having solid opening round, and getting that again, those opportunities to be playing in front of the cameras and all of that just continues to build on your experience overall. So. Awesome. All right, that's what we saw overseas. You want to quickly touch on at least what we saw? What Skellefteå was that? That
That
was
was
taking place
shoot.
over in Sweden.
Yeah, that was last week. Hold on, let me quickly pull that up here. I gotta scroll down to the bottom of
Yeah,
the list.
that was actually the same weekend as the Preserve. Now that
Yep.
I'm getting it all together, and I think the long and short of it, right? We saw Macbeth win, and then
Schleiftia was this past weekend, July 7th through 9th. And on the MPO side,
yeah,
you're right.
okay,
We did see Paul Macbeth win. He over 2 strokes over Laurie Lettinen.
hmm
And then third place, James Proctor making a huge comeback because he was sitting kind of in the, I don't say the middle of the field, but like eighth, ninth, 10th place. And he shoots an 11 under par to shoot up nine. I'm sorry, he was in 12th place, shot up 9 places up to third to get himself on that podium. In fourth place was Miro Raninen. Sorry,
hmm
Miro. And fifth place was Scott Stokely. Scott shot 10 under. So Mr. Macbeth didn't do anything special that final round. Only I'm gonna throw that in quotes. Shot a 5 under. When we saw
yeah.
a couple other better scores at 11, 5, 8, 7. So there was more to be had, but he didn't have to. He knew with the last couple holes that he more or less had it wrapped up. Laurie could have made a run at it, but didn't. So did not force Paul. And then moving over to FPO on a streak. I believe she won the last
Yeah,
3 events.
100
Is
last 300
no,
events. I feel like
Sil-
every time we're mentioning a winner over there, it's her.
it's her. Yeah, Silva Saarinen wins this
hmm
one over Rachel Turton. So Silva having a really good month in general. And Rachel Turton, who is not playing the PCS event, which I believe she won last year. Did she not win?
No,
No.
she battled
Or
she
did she take
battled hard
second
with
place?
Anakin
Yeah,
Sten.
Anakin won. You're right. I'm sorry. Rachel took
Yep,
second. But Rachel is
yep,
playing in a different event this weekend and not playing in PCS, I noticed, because I was looking at the entry
yep.
entries. In third place, Ella Hansen at 3 over par, so 3 strokes off of the lead. And fourth place, Jenny Karppinen at +5. And in fifth place, I should have stopped at 4.
Ha
Hanel
ha.
Mata. That's 2 A's with 2 umlauts over it, and the last A
And
has one.
another one to
I know. I'm sorry, Hanel. You cannot blame me for that one. That's too many dots in a name, regardless of who you are. But congratulations on your
uh,
fifth place finish.
yeah. Artie loved the attempt there. Appreciate it, Artie.
Ugh, ugh,
Uh, yeah,
oof.
that's what we saw. And then the only thing I'll quickly touch on in seeing that from Yakub, which we mentioned a moment ago. I've played that hole. It's a really fun hole to play. It's an island. They played as an island hole. I believe that's at least how we did it when I was there. The fact that he the fact that he had the score he did, but hit the island. If you've ever played there, that's the part that would absolutely blow your mind. Obviously,
Mhm.
the putting woes all sucked and everything, but seeing that score on the scorecard, you may not think twice about that, knowing how that hole can play. But he hit the island, and then all of the mistakes were then made on the putting green. It's kind of a side note, and it really doesn't matter in the big picture. I think one of the biggest takeaways were the fact that a lot of people said, this is last year's Pro Worlds putting champion.
Mhm.
And to see, and as far as we've ever seen on film, this is the only time we've ever seen this happen. Hopefully it's
That
literally a
was
one and done.
honestly though
But
that was what I heard of him from last year when he was making that run with Barsby. Um, right? That was him and
I
Barsby.
don't, yeah, he was, but I don't remember
No, 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 no,
any,
no, no. He didn't have any at Barsby, but I'm saying
okay.
that was the word on him was his putting was really streaky. The way he put
Oh,
that if he missed, he blew past baskets and he would just go back and forth. That was the knock on him when he was younger. And so to see this now kind of poke its head out again because we haven't seen it. I had heard
yeah,
that from him.
sure.
But I did not see it. All we saw last year when he was going up against Barsby were baskets that were spitting everybody back out. Um,
Yeah.
but in general, that was always kind of his thing, and that's why I was a little surprised that when he won the putting championship, I was like, wow, this guy clearly has it figured out now. And it just sometimes those old habits or things just get in your head because those were not tough putts. That was
Yeah.
just
No.
that was just
Yeah.
like total yips for a hole. So
Yeah, let's of course just hope that that does not
Mhm.
become, any kind of habit or ever honestly just rears its head again. That was brutal to watch. It was and none of us need to belittle or berate him in any way for that. He knows, as skillful of a player as he is, and the successes that he's had. Uh, he's well aware. I don't think anyone else needs to remind him. So
No.
hopefully that's it on that end. So all right. Anything else? I think we've covered. I know we got a little caught up. Sorry to some of you that may have already run down all of those recaps and reviews in the last few weeks. But I think that's the majority of what we've seen. Anything beyond that, I think gets a little bit sideways and stretches things out. So you want to talk? You want to talk pro worlds, pro masters
Pro
worlds? Uh,
Masters Worlds,
let's
yeah.
talk pro worlds real quick for a moment. Big announcement a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Johnny, do you have it in front of you
I can pull
or
it
no?
up, but the gist of it is that, and this is something that behind the scenes we've been hearing about quite a bit. LL Bean has graciously thrown in a whole bunch of cash to the Pro
Mm.
Worlds, and as of right now, we have a minimum Pro Worlds purse of $275,000, which I think last year's was 200,000 is what I thought I
Mm.
saw someone say. So we're seeing a huge increase in that. And I'm going to pull up from dgpt.com, which is where you can find the announcement.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
got it. I've got it up in front of us
Go
right
for it,
now.
Tear.
Yeah, where it just. I mean, there's an entire press release, so on and so forth. Uh, the Chuck Gannon, director of brand and performance media at LL Bean, had said, "There's so much to love about disc golf. Ask any player, and you'll likely hear them spending time outside with friends and family, or someone you just meet at the first tee. It's in their core, the love for the sport." And then talks about the relationship. And as you just said, we'll have over 300 competitors comprised of players from at least 12 countries. And then Jeff Spring, tournament director, said that this is a big moment for the sport. LL Bean is a legendary outdoors company and a fantastic fit as a partner and supporter of disc golf. I'm proud of the work we've done at Smuggler's Notch and in the professional disc golf community to reach this moment. The support that LL Bean's partnership provides will help this year's World Championships reach new heights. And yeah, I mean, and LL Bean, in case you forgot, LL Bean was in fact a sponsor and has sponsored other things within disc golf, and then also was a significant sponsor a few years ago at the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship as well. And maybe that's even listed as you continue to read on. But yeah, so it's pretty cool. Obviously, this is still a PDGA major. This is not a Disc Golf Pro Tour event. However, Disc Golf Network will have the media rights and so on and so forth, as we've been seeing for all of our majors. Uh, but yeah, the PDGA is now officially the 2023 PDGA Professional Disc Golf World Championships presented by LL Bean. So yeah,
it's
I don't know I don't know how you wouldn't be excited about that. I'm sure somebody out there on the internet has a problem with it.
somebody hates LL Bean or something, or I don't know.
I'm
I'm sure it
sure.
is. I'm more interested, and I'd love to talk to Sean Jack at some point, who I know helps uh, work with these sponsors on, as you said, LL Bean has sponsored before, but they sponsored the Tour Championship. So where does that, when the talks happen between, hey, would you like to sponsor another big event? How do you decide if you're the Pro Tour, if you're Sean Jack who works for the Pro Tour, between
Yeah.
Worlds and the Tour finale? And it's nothing, and I haven't talked to him, so I'd love to know if is it an LL Bean thing saying, no, we want to go with the World Championship. That sounds better to us versus the Pro Tour Championship. Or, and I truly don't know, are we going to hear more about LL Bean for the Pro Tour Championship if this goes well, which is only a few weeks after, it's what, 6 weeks
Yeah.
after
Yeah, 4, 5, 6 weeks after.
Worlds. Will we hear more about that? So I'm really interested to maybe tug on Sean Jack's ear and get a little insight into how they decided where and how much money is going to go into this event versus the Pro Tour Championship. I'm excited that it's Worlds. I'm excited for anyone. I mean, they could have told us it was the Pro Tour Championship, and I thought I would have been, oh, that's awesome, you know. Or maybe they already have someone lined up for the Pro Tour Championship, and we don't know yet. It's definitely cool, regardless of what anyone thinks. $275,000 minimum purse, because there still could be more money put into this event. I guarantee you, if someone comes out and offers 25,000, nobody's saying no to that. So we're gonna see more money go into this purse more than likely at some point.
Yeah. Again, I get it. LLB might not be your favorite company. That's okay. It's because guess what? We'll never secure every player's favorite company, no matter what the product, no matter what the channel or the merchandise or the item or the avenue or the service is. There's no one service that will literally please every single one of our PDGA members or of our subscribers. So awesome. I mean, I get it. You may have a more favorite outdoor brand and or company, and good for you. That's fine, but pretty cool to see. As I think the phrase that Sean Jack loves to use is non-endemic. You know, somebody outside of disc golf that is supporting our sport, because we've been barking about it for at least the 30 years Johnny and I have been around, and probably a few years before that as well. That outside sponsorship, we right now, all the manufacturers, all the companies within disc golf generally bear the brunt of those expenses and of those sponsorships. So you're bringing in some money that's from outside of disc golf. Uh, it's awesome, and hopefully that sparks other situations, other sponsorships, other opportunities that we can go from. So yeah, I did find it funny that immediately people were like, "Well, that's still not enough money." Well, I don't know when it will be, because let's just play pretend. If 5 million was announced, the first that you we both know, well, why wasn't it 6, or why wasn't it just 10? 10 sounds better. It's all part of the process. All right.
It,
So,
it, it really is. And this weekend, I watched a little bit of the PGA, the women's
mm,
major that was at Pebble Beach. I caught
sure.
the last like 4 or 5 holes, and they were saying how this, even for
Uh,
them, like this was
I
the
was going to watch
biggest.
post production. Don't spoil it. Don't
Uh,
spoil it.
I won't tell you who won because I honestly
Okay.
don't remember. Cortez won. Spoiled it. Okay,
Ah,
whatever.
okay. Okay. I saw her.
But
Okay.
they were saying that this was their largest purse ever at $2 million. Or not, I'm sorry, not largest purse. Largest event winner got $2 million.
Oh, okay.
The winner. And whereas if we're seeing some of the men pull in 6, 7, 8, 9 million for some of these majors, this was the women's largest open winning amount at $2 million.
Okay.
So it's kind of crazy. And so that's not that far of a stone's throw away from disc golf, to be honest. I think we're starting to see sponsors come into our sport, and they have a pretty big head start on us. So I'm
Uh,
excited. I'm excited
I,
for
I
all
guess
these
this begs
endemic
the
sponsors.
I guess the this begs the question. You know, seeing 35,000 last year handed to Ricky Wysocki, 35,000 handed to Kristen Tatar, Disc Golf Pro Tour championship, all by Barbasol. Put it on your face. Free plug for your Barbasol. Uh, how long? How many more years? And this might be worth time stamping permanently.
Mhm.
How many more years? In what year will we see the first $100,000 check handed to a disc golfer for a single event? What year is that? We're in
We are
middle of
currently in
2023.
2023.
Hmm.
I would say 2030.
Oh, okay. I
So
I think it'll be before that.
I don't know. It's I
Uh,
think what we'll see is we saw 35,000. I think we're going to see in the next 2 to 3 years $50,000, and I bet you it
mhm.
hits 50 and kind of plateaus. Like 50 is a great number, as we all know. I think it
Mm-hmm.
stays there for a few years. Then maybe it gets to 75 for a few years. That's why I think, and then we jump up to 100,000. It's a unless you're and granted the Pro Tour was very very top heavy. We're
At a
talking
few events, sure.
yeah,
At the
at the
championship, it is.
championship,
Yes.
yeah. And I think
I
you're
mean, you're
going to see that
going for
at
that
either
wow factor,
Worlds or the
right?
championship. 2030 would be the soonest I think I that we would see it.
I don't know. There's a couple people on the board suggesting Mike Durko out there, saying 2027. That's right where I put the sweet spot. I think 2027.
Well,
I
Terry,
would not be surprised if we see it by then.
you know what I like to do.
Yeah,
Oh crap!
put it on the
Put
calendar.
it on the calendar. So I'm gonna later on today. I'll see if I can put it on the calendar as far as 2020, the middle of like 2027, around this
Yeah,
time.
put it for July. Yeah, July 11th on
And
2027, and then July 11th, 2030.
yeah,
Um,
and we'll see
and
what
put those two on and see if we've seen $100,000 individual purse paycheck to one person for one event, not a series or collection of events. Yeah, $100,000 check issued.
I feel like we need to have a slight stipulation that it has to be a, a like
Winnings,
not just
like
winnings, but
not a throw off or a contest.
yeah, not a throw off, but even just like not an all. I feel like you could do that if we got like, hey, everybody's playing, but we're paying one person. Like, so
Okay,
imagine
so
the
like
Pro
a
Tour.
standard payout scale. Well, but even the Pro Tour,
The
the
Pro Tour Championship
championship's
is
not
a
a standard
standard
pro
scale,
payout
but
scale either, though.
but it's at least a payout where they pay out a relatively deep for the
Yeah.
field. So I just don't want to see. I don't want to lose this bet on a technicality where it's like, oh look, Steve Dodge ran an event where the winner got $100,000.
Yeah,
And
they
nobody else
invited
got a
four
penny.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I want
Well,
a
or as
standard style event.
yeah, coming in off the board, Big Money Skins was 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Does the Big Money Skins with what was there 32-ish people there
Yeah, I would.
initially, to start the weekend? Does Big Money Skins count? Because there was still payout after that.
Yeah, it was 50 grand for the winner.
Do you count that? I guess that is a great example. Assuming there's at least like 32 in the field at the beginning of the weekend, and there's other people that are winning some money, it does Big Money Skins. It's
the Pro Tour
similar
Championship
iteration.
is sanctioned technically, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
I want to
yeah,
say
it has
sanctioned.
to be. Yeah,
I want to say sanctioned event.
sanctioned. Okay. Match play championship.
Yeah.
Owen Scoggins won 10 grand. That's
I will put the stipulation
counts. That's sanctioned.
event. I don't care what kind of sanctioned event as long as it's sanctioned.
Okay. Whiff diff sanctioned or all right. PDGA sanctioned. Like you could find it on the PDGA website at some point because
Correct.
it was sanctioned. Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Robert
All right.
Gorky
Well,
says
anyway,
my volume is low.
2027.
I'm probably just away from my microphone, Robert. Sorry.
2027 and 2030. We'll check back. No hardcore bets here, but we'll check back in those 2 years and see if it's happened. Well, I guess we'll know in 2027 if it already did happen.
We will know.
All right. What if it was USD? Yeah, USDGC
That's
counts.
a sanctioned event.
It's sanctioned. It's an X tier with some unique rules and invite only. But yes, it is. That definitely qualifies. Definitely. I would say that. All right. So yeah, LL Bean, we got all that covered. Pro Worlds, exciting. Obviously, Smuggler's Notch. It's 5 years since we've been there. All that stuff. There's nothing really new outside of that huge announcement, which is huge. But yeah, we'll worry about that. Let's get into Pro and Am Masters Worlds. That literally began today. Well, technically, doubles took place Saturday. Field events were Sunday, but singles, regular stroke play began today.
Let's limit it to pro. We'll worry about Am Masters after the event when they win. I'd rather just talk about pro tonight.
All right, you pro elitist.
I'm an elitist, I know. So far, they really only have one round in right now, and
Correct.
we have a 3-way tie for first in MP40, which is
what?
I would say kind of the MP and FP40 are the quote unquote premier divisions at this at this event.
They
You've
will
got
have
Steve.
post-production coverage.
Yep, Steve Rico coming in with a 10 under. Michael Johansson coming in with a 10 under. And Kale LaVisca coming in with a 10 under. That's a three-way tie if I count correctly. Uno, dos,
Yeah,
tres. Yeah.
you are really
I'm
quick
so
tonight.
good. I'm so good.
Nailed it.
And then fourth place, there is a monster tie for fourth place. I'll go through the fourth places and that's it. Dave Felberg, Joe Revere, Jeff Wilson, Brian Shintaku, Travis Head, Chris Villa, and Joshua Johnson, all at 9 under. And then there's another small bump at 8 that we're not going to talk about because until they get better, we don't talk about them.
Wow, yeah, they're not in the top 10. Ouch. Even if I'm staying with one of those guys. Wow. Burn.
Sorry.
Okay. Sorry, Chris Orrick. Yeah, and Joshua Johnson, maybe of all those players you just mentioned, he's in that tie. He's out of Arizona, super good player. I met him back at the Las Vegas Challenge. I think we both remembered. And look at how he finished if you scroll down. First of all, very few bogeys. I'll put it this way. Felberg had 2 bogeys. Those were the only 2 bogeys out of every person you just listed, except for Joshua Johnson. He finished with a double bogey, and that's what has him at 9 under. I know, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but so that means there were only 3 over par holes out of the top. Oh my gosh, I'm going to keep scrolling. 3 over par holes out of like the top 13 guys. Felberg had 2 of them, and then Joshua had the double bogey to close out. So he was just hole 18 away, so to speak, from being maybe an outright leader at 11 under had he parred. Either way, he's still very much in the mix. I think this also tells us very, very, very few bogeys. I don't want to say none, but damn near close to no bogeys in like the top 15 or 20 guys. Lots of birdie opportunities and not so much in terms of the bogeys.
This course is more of a, we'll say a slight throwback to.
Yeah, 8,800 feet is not what we see on the tour these days. That would probably be the shortest, if not the, it'd probably be close to, if not the absolute shortest course on the Disc Golf Pro Tour, if they were playing in the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
So a lot of these guys already have, I mean, they all have Pro Tour experience. Felberg is the one with the least Pro Tour experience, and then maybe Joe Revere. But these guys all mostly have Pro Tour experience, so they're used to these long courses. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen in other courses. Because what other courses are they playing, Terry? Are they playing the Snow Bowl?
No, Snow Bowl's not even in the mix at all in any capacity this week. Yeah, I know. Things change in 20 years. Weird. I hear you.
Did the
so
mountain,
Snow Bowl's not in the mix.
Erode away or what?
Yeah, it's gone. That damn climate change. Well, it's the flat earthers. They were like, hey, this peak feels too high. We need to flatten things out. I think that's part of their MO. No, Snow Bowl's not in the mix, and they are playing Thorpe. Let me double check that, which is, of course, you and I played a different layout at the time, but they will be playing Thorpe tomorrow.
Okay.
Other courses that are in the mix for other divisions, just to throw them out there: NAU, again, different layout than what you and I saw. McPherson, which is not a course you or I played, and then Fort Tuthill, which is also a course that we did not play. But the FPOs played there, and the FPOs will also be playing over at the Little America course, the shorter Little America course, known as the Crew course. And we'll talk about that more in a minute. But yeah, so they're only playing 2 courses.
Speaking of Fort Tuthill, only 2 courses is a little weak in my opinion too. Make them play 4, like we had to. Owen Scoggins continues her terror. Not just a tear, but a terror. All of them on the FP40 division. She shot 12 under par with a bogey. She took a bogey on a 212-foot hole.
I was just looking. I think that's the shortest hole on the
Yes,
course,
it's the shortest hole on the course,
coincidentally.
and she took a bogey on it. Which the fair part is there weren't a ton of birdies. It looks like maybe a quarter of the field birdied it. Uh,
Sure.
about half took a par, and maybe another quarter took a bogey. I'm just quickly scrolling. Second place is Stephanie Vincent at 9 under. Third place, Holly Finley at 8 under. Fourth place, Sandy Hendel at 7 under, and then Jen Allen at 6 under. And Jen Allen, to get to 6 under, had to shoot 6 under on the back 9 to get there. She actually got 6 of the last 7, if I count correctly, to get to 6
Yeah.
under par. So the beginning of her round did probably not feel very good when Owen Scoggins started out birdie, birdie, birdie on 1, 2, and 3. And if you had to pick two favorites out here, it's Owen and Jen Allen. Those are the two
Yeah.
that almost everyone is looking at as the favorites to win.
Yeah, and I mean, if especially if you want to oversimplify it by just straight up looking at your ratings, for the two of them, they are the two highest rated women. It goes Own at 982, uh, Jen Allen at 959, and then Holly Finley at 943, and then Stephanie Vincent at 932. So and then Sandy Hendel's at 918. So the top 5 women in the tournament are after round 1 are in the top 5. They're not in that exact order, but they're in the top 5. So right out of the gate, I don't want to say things are playing out as you'd expect. That's not what I wouldn't go quite that far, but yes, the top 5 ratings have shot the top 5 best scores in round number 1. So there you have it. Maybe no massive surprise there is what you could say. Uh, just the ordering and the fact that you've seen Owen Scoggins. Owen's round, by the way, came in unofficially here. I'm seeing it now at 1,008. I don't care who you are. That's just some damn good golf.
That is some
13
damn
birdies.
good golf.
So tomorrow, they will be. I'm currently in a conference room in Little America,
You're not in a
and
pyramid?
no, I have not. Even
You're
though I
not in
know
hell?
me and Nicolas Cage could be hanging out here, and there's a map somewhere. Um, I'm out at Little America. Again, there's 2 courses here this year. They're having what they're calling the long course and then what they're calling the crew course. So the MP40s and some other divisions will be playing the longer course, which is what they played today. And then the FP40 division and a number of other divisions will play the crew course, which is what they're going to go out and play tomorrow. They played Tut Hill today. They're playing the the shorter crew course tomorrow. Totally separate. And it's excuse me, as I say it 6 times. It's not a shorter and a longer course with different tees and different pins. They are 2 entirely separate courses. So 36 unique holes. Just
Fantastic.
to any confusion out there that might be there. There are 36 separate holes. And if you paid attention earlier today, of course, on the PDGA preview show that I was part of, what's really cool is when Johnny and I were here in 03 and then the AM Worlds was here in 05, any courses that were here on the property were temporary. At Little America, they have, I believe, someone told me 500 acres when it was all said and done. They were temporary courses, and now they're leaving one of these 2 courses in, so it'll be a full permanent course here at Little America, which is obviously awesome to hear. Another course getting added to the area as a viable opportunity to go play more golf. So that's something that's cool as a residual outcome of the worlds being held here. So anyway, women crew course tomorrow. I don't want to say relatively short, but it's not long.
Okay.
Do I see the numbers on it? Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't. Shoot, it does not give
No,
me the
it doesn't.
stats until it gets played now tomorrow. Shoot,
Correct. Uh,
I could look it up somewhere else, but on the slightly shorter side, Fort Tut Hill's on the slightly shorter side, and the crew course is on the shorter side. And I say shorter in comparison to what we see in FPO
mhm.
on the Pro Tour.
You're
And
probably
I guess the
talking
question
7 to 8,000 feet, maybe 8,500 or something like that.
yeah, I'm going to look it up. So my question to you while you look it up, though, Johnny, is should the FP40 course this weekend
Yes. Yes. I know what you're going to say.
should they
Yes.
mirror or be very
Oh,
similar to FPO courses?
no. Okay, I'm going to change my answer then. No, Terry, they should not be. Courses need to be aligned properly with the division. We've said it about FPO in general. FP40 is different because you have players that are anywhere from clearly 39 plus, but let's just assume 39 to 49. A 49-year-old player, many of them probably appreciate a slightly shorter course than the FPO players. I believe that they should be within a certain length. We would not want to see them playing a 9,000, a 10,000 foot course like we've seen with some of the FPO field. I believe that we should be seeing that. I also feel that the MP40 courses should be shorter than the MPO courses. And I know I said earlier that a lot of these guys have MPO experience. That doesn't mean that they should be playing MPO lengthed courses. I think an appropriate distance is 8 to 9,000 feet for an MP40. And maybe for
Okay.
FP40, you're looking at 7 to 8, maybe 8,500 on a long one. It just feels appropriate that you scale them down. Just because you have a Carter Aarons in juniors under 15 who can throw 450 to 500 feet doesn't mean you make the course 8,500
For all
feet for
juniors?
juniors. Yeah, you have to.
See, you're no fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure Carter Aarons would love something like that if he were still playing in juniors, but you have to make the course appropriate regardless of what the top of the field is. You have to accommodate it for a majority of the field. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Jen Allen would love a longer course. I'm sure she'd love an 85 to 9,500 foot course that would give her an advantage. I couldn't even argue if there was one.
Sure.
But I feel like again, 8,500 feet to me feels like a good top level for an FP40 course. So let's talk real quick. I say, do you have the stats, or can I move on to some of the other divisions?
I'm just getting frustrated at myself. I'm seeing the course caddy guide, which looks really nice. You can download it. It's all out there.
It doesn't have
And
a
I'm seeing
full.
I'm seeing the individual hole numbers and distances and in meters and feet, but I'm not seeing a total. And it
Quickly add them up,
I'm
Terry.
sure it's probably listed somewhere.
All right, so let's talk real quick. We'll go over who's leading some of the other divisions. MP50, you've got Chris Smith winning by a stroke. Other notable names in here is Mike Mosier, Ron Converse, Robert Bainbridge, not to be confused with Robert Burridge, Chris May, and Brian Schweberger. So those are some names. Schweby is currently 4 strokes off the lead. Then you move to FP50, and Juliana Korver is winning this by a stroke over Kim G. Other notable names that you may know. Nova is in this, and that's really about it. Those are the names you would probably recognize. MP55, Hank Kirwan is currently tied with Derek Johnson. Patrick Brown is in this division as well, so that's a name that many of you might recognize. He's at 1 under par. FP55, Karen Sattler is winning this by 2 strokes. Sheila Kirkham might be the only other name that some of you may recognize. She's currently 14 strokes out of first place. MP60, Mitch McClellan is winning. Is tied with Tim Keith. And the only other notable, well, I don't say the only other, but
Graham Garlick.
Yeah, sorry,
Mitch
Graham
Mack,
Garlick.
Kim Keith, and Graham Garlick are all tied for the lead.
Yes, my bad. I missed that. The third one. The other notable name in this would be Jim Oates and Peter Sontag. And maybe Peter Sontag's just a notable name for us. I don't know. It's hard to tell who's notable.
Your notable names are different than mine, but that's all right.
There are a lot of probably PDGA Hall of Fame members in these fields, but I'm talking names that maybe the majority of the country might have heard of.
Sure.
And Sontag's a little different. I'm sure no one has heard of him, but probably us, because that's just the way it is.
I don't stand by that statement, but go on.
I'm just saying. I bet you a majority of our chat board has not heard of Peter Sontag, who's very well known in the California area, but just in general. All right, talking FP60, Kathy Hardiman is winning this one by a stroke over Pamaflaj Reinke. Reinke. I always mess that one up. And then you're looking at MP65 currently Jay Gobrek is winning this by 1 stroke over Kenny Lee. Moving to FP65, Sandy Gast is dominating right now by 8 strokes over Lori Cloyes Chupa.
Hmm.
MP70, yes, MP70. Randy Beers has a single stroke over Dr. Rick Vokes. Dr. Rick looking to get his 150th World's win this year. That guy's got a lot. Other notable names, you'll know Mark Horn, Dave Greenwell. There's a lot of, like, when you get into this category of division, most of them are probably Hall of Fame members at this point. They
Yeah.
probably built the Hall of Fame. MP80 is, there's a 3-person field. Carlos Rigby, Spencer Rigby. They're the only 2 left because Daniel Pilatus looks like he DNF'd. And I,
Yep.
I can't tell if he just never showed or he just quit after hole 9 because he was like taking 4s and then he took 7 over on hole 9. But it could just be.
The quick, yeah, no, the quick story to that is it sounds like there was some confusion about start time for the division, and they had missed the first 8 holes, and then all 3 of them, Carlos and Spencer, I believe, are brothers, and they may or may not have also been traveling with Daniel. I'm not sure,
Oh,
but
Jesus.
all
Yeah, I
3
just
of
noticed
them,
that.
yeah, yeah. So all 3 of them, there was just some miscommunication. All 3 of them didn't arrive essentially in time until hole 9. They played hole 9. Daniel played hole 9 along with Carlos and Spencer. Daniel then withdrew from the division or withdrew from competition, and then it's now remains as basically Carlos and Spencer. And as you said, Carlos has a 14-stroke lead over what I believe is his brother in that MP80 division. 80-year-olds out here in this heat, in any of these courses, playing these conditions, God bless them. Like,
Mhm.
best of luck to them.
Now, those are the guys we
Uh,
should have on the 9,500-foot courses.
yeah, yes, exactly.
Let's make those old men move. But they only have to play 1
So,
round. That's my compromise. You get a
yes.
9,500-foot course, you only have to play 1 round for a championship.
Yeah, so yeah, well, excited to see how the rest of the week continues to play out for all of them. And that's what we're seeing on the MP and FP sides. All of the pros, like you said, this time next week we'll also touch on all the amateurs. Best of luck to all the amateurs. There's just shy of 900 total competitors here this week, which is obviously awesome. It's crazy, it's wild, but you're talking about 900 competitors that are of 40 and over essentially, or 39 plus a birthday later this year, that are here competing. So best of luck to everybody. And obviously we're at elevation, 7,600 feet. Many of you know what that means if you've done any traveling. You're talking about how not only the disc fly, but just overall health and safety and those considerations. Uh, Johnny McRae had posted on social media a few days ago that his wife Jen had altitude sickness, so Johnny McRae had withdrawn from the event. And I don't know if he said he was going all the way back home, but either way, he's withdrawing from the event. And you have to think McRae clearly one of the favorites to pick up another world title here, and with his wife having the altitude sickness, said that he was withdrawing and is not here. So obviously very serious. Obviously everyone taking it very serious. And in addition to all of that, yes, it's Arizona, so it's obvious that it's going to be warm here. But most people, ourselves included, Johnny, most people, more often than not, you experience considerably less heat here than you do in Phoenix. Right now, it's probably 115 degrees in Phoenix. I know it was 100 degrees when I came in at 10 o'clock on Saturday night. They're experiencing 110, 113, 118, whatever. You travel north, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to Flagstaff, totally different weather. This week, it decides that it's still going to be hotter than average for Flagstaff weather. And so that's why we're seeing temps that are pushing in the 90s. And I think they're even talking about mid 90s possibly. So, yes, it's Arizona, and yes, you expect heat, but you don't expect it that hot in Flagstaff. So we're kind of getting a double whammy. Um, yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I've had more water in the last 4 days than I bet you I've had in the last like 2 weeks combined. and I'm okay with that. I continue to pound as much water as possible. It's you got to be safe. I always think I don't want to be that idiot that knew all of the warnings and heard all of the warnings and somehow ignored them and then fell to it. And I'm not saying everyone's an idiot that does have a struggle with it, um, but I'm taking every precaution and then some to yeah, to keep myself hydrated.
I'd go with Red Bulls instead, but that's just me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like I said, I have had a record amount of water in these last few days. And I could, as everyone knows, some know, I could take or drink alcoholic beverages, but I've kept those to almost zero as well. I'm just not even messing with it.
Probably a great idea.
All right, so that's what we're seeing for here at the Worlds. I wanted to quickly touch on, and I'm apologize if I'm going to search. Um, Last night, the opening ceremonies, Johnny. Well, I look for something. You tell me about the opening ceremonies for the worlds you've attended, which is how many for
Oh
you?
God,
Was it, have you been to
I,
about
I don't
10,
even
12?
12, 13, something like that. Yeah, a couple AM,
Okay.
couple pro. Well,
Yep.
I was gonna say I think my first one was
8.
98.
Yeah, you didn't go to Michigan in 97.
No, I did go to Michigan in 97. I didn't play though.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So 97,
Yeah. So
98, 99,
yep.
2000, 2001, 2002, 2003,
Yep.
2004. You didn't go to 2005 in Pennsylvania.
Yes, I did.
You went,
Allenton? Yeah.
did you?
Yes.
I didn't remember you.
Yeah, I was
Were you
there.
with me?
I was.
Okay, okay. '06 we were in Augusta together.
Yep.
'07 was in Wisconsin. You didn't go to Wisconsin's.
You're right. I did not go to Highbridge in Wisconsin. I just, I
Because we
for all
ran the
things.
Am Worlds the week before, and then the very next week was Pro Worlds.
Yep. So I had to
And
make a
so you
choice
didn't
between
go to
helping
that.
run Am Worlds. So I still went to a Worlds. It was just Am Worlds.
You
You know.
did. You did.
Yep.
'08 was in Michigan, which you were at
Yes.
combined. '09 was Kansas City, which that one you didn't go to.
I don't believe I went to '09
You
Kansas
did not, because that
City.
was me and Whole Five Guy and Katie Stouse.
No.
Um,
No, you're right. I did not go to
no,
that
you
one.
didn't go.
No. So anyway, I had a
Anyway, so you've been to plenty. You've been to
good
plenty.
run. So
Not quite
opening,
as many as me, but quite a few.
no, you've gone to a lot. Opening ceremonies usually, start out with probably like a Pledge of Allegiance and a song, God Bless America, something along those lines. Then what they usually have is a procession with all the country's flags that are represented. Everyone gets to pick, you pick a representative, they get to carry the flag, and they usually come in. Everyone comes up, nice big applause. Then at that point, they'll go over any oddities on the course, any strange, anything maybe out of the ordinary, and talk about kind of caddy books and sponsors. Usually have a chat. A lot of times, what they'll do is they'll bring in someone from the city who helped get the Am or Pro or Masters Worlds in, and they'll talk about the type of impact it's going to be doing for their city and how they're so ecstatic to have you there. Maybe a sponsor, an outside sponsor, will show up and kind of have a little chat. And at that point, then that's kind of the extent of players meeting at a Worlds. It's usually a good time. You get to sit and chat with people that you haven't seen for a year. But yeah, did I leave anything major out there, Terry?
No, no. I mean, for the most part, that's kind of how it went down. A few other things that happened was that there was the Hall of Fame class for 2023 was announced, but we didn't necessarily hear the the nomination speeches, that accompany then the accepting speeches. So usually it's the person that nominates them, they read off or present them, and then it's the person that's been inducted has, something prepared. That sounds like that's going to be more of an October thing at the USDGC, which is kind of what we've experienced over the last couple of years. And so that took place in a kind of an abbreviated version. Otherwise, like you said, yes, Rebecca Duffy from the PDGA, she sang the national anthem. We had what I believe was 16 countries represented, where everyone brought in, the flag, or there's a representative from each country, which is really cool to see. And just shy of 900 competitors. They went over a few basic rules. Also talked about green sustainability project or affiliation with this weekend's event, which of course is always cool to have more green initiatives to reduce our waste and everything else. And it was more so even about just the fact that we're out in this beautiful landscape and nature, and what that really means. When we're in some of these areas that aren't typically quite as city and as industrialized as I feel like some of the other places that we go to. So yeah, it was all really cool. Great ceremony. Spoiler alert, Juliana Korver is the back-to-back, or at least two-time senior player of the year award winner, due to all the criteria that was set up for that. So that was listed as well, and she was announced. And I'm a little frustrated. I'm not gonna lie. As much as I love the Disc Golf Hall of Fame here, I'm a little frustrated. I can't find the full listing for everyone, so I'm partially going off of memory. And I apologize. There's one gentleman who I just simply don't know as well as the others. And I'm trying to see if I have a list, the full list here, and it does. Oh, okay, yeah. So starting off, Bill Burns was. This is the class essentially. Bill Burns, John Duzler, who,
Oh.
as we all know, was the starter of what became modern day live disc golf
Hmm.
streaming with Disc Golf Planet TV.
Yeah.
John Duzler,
Is he
uh,
there? Did you get a chance to
he
see
is
him?
not. No,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately, Bill. I believe they said Bill is not here. John Duzler is not here, and Kent. I apologize. This is where I feel terrible. I do not. I cannot remember Kent's last name. Out of Oklahoma, he's done what, massive graphics for the PDGA magazine, out of Oklahoma, and I Kent Johnson. There it is, finally. Ah. So Kent Johnson, and then Steve Gans,
Oh,
who you and I know very well,
well
and
deserved.
have known for many years, and Charlie Mead,
Okay.
who is here from the UK. I happen to have shared a house and some time, a lot of time actually, with Charlie Mead. My first trip ever to Norway in 2013, and he obviously very deserving as well. And so those are your five inductees into the Disc Golf Hall of Fame, the World Disc Golf Hall of Fame, which is in fact separate from the PDGA Hall of Fame. There is not a PDGA Hall of Fame. There is the World Disc Golf Hall of Fame, um, which is an entirely separate entity, and you'll hear more about that as the months go on. But anyway,
Mhm.
congratulations. That is your class of 2023, a full ceremony which will be broadcast live and will be part of the Disc Golf Network and part of the USDGC. I want to say they even maybe threw out the date already. I think it's maybe Wednesday, October 4th, I think, is when you're going to probably see the full ceremony
Okay.
unfold. So
Which yeah.
congratulations.
Well, hopefully some of those guys will be able to make it
Uh,
there.
As they said, truly, the highest honor I feel like you can receive in the sport of disc golf is to
Mhm.
be put into the World Disc Golf Hall of Fame. So, congrats to all of them. Yeah. Um, Charlie Mead, side note though, and I don't mean to laugh, but yesterday he was practicing. I forget the details of the story, but he was practicing, and then he moved his case with his glasses. He moved it from one spot to another. Somebody else then moved it. And then I think we found out, long story short, today, that maybe it got actually moved to the exterior of his car, because his glasses weren't found at the parking lot here at the hotel, nor were they found at the course they were practicing. He said he went back out onto the highway today and found his glasses case, but did not find his glasses. And so he can see things close by, but not necessarily
Eh.
far away. So Charlie, I feel, I mean, as if worlds, as if the elevation, as if traveling from the UK, all these other things, and then to probably permanently lose your glasses. Best of luck to you, Charlie. But congrats for getting into the into the Hall of Fame. Yeah,
Never saw
I
it
just
coming.
that is brutal for sure. So I don't wanna say that's everything, but that is largely what we're seeing here at the World Championships. As we said, took place today, the very first round for everybody. Everyone just plays 1 round, which is a little different from what you and I obviously experienced for so many years. Tonight, where there was the Innova Bank, there's a banquet that might be presented by Innova. I think you had to pay, uh, either as a guest, I'm sorry, as a non-player, there was a price, and then as a player, there was a discounted price. That's taking place still probably as we speak, or maybe it's wrapping up. Tomorrow night, a Fly Mart, which I'm pretty excited about to check out. The Fly Mart, which many of you know what that is. The Worlds used to be the sole place, really the biggest and best Fly Mart of the year that you would experience anywhere. And now you can go to a lot of really big tournaments and find a ton of vending and these incredible Fly Marts. There's always just still this something a little extra special about the World's
Well, I
Fly
have to
Mart. So that
imagine
takes place.
that like
Mhm.
to me, the Masters Fly Mart may be maybe the coolest one based on the people that are there, the discs that they have. If you've got guys that are playing that are maybe also selling, because you go to like a World's Fly Mart right now, and it's probably geared towards your. It's not geared towards the player. It's probably now geared more towards your spectator. So you're going to see probably almost all new plastic. You're going to have your people that have probably the bin of old discs that you and I will kind of finger through and look for. But I would imagine that a Masters Fly Mart would be a little bit more up yours and mine alley. Um, just
Yeah, Um, yeah, I'll be interested to see what's there. I mean, there yeah. Also just genuinely think about the user base here
mhm.
in terms of our I'll use them as an example, but someone like Azuka Card, are they going to have a more prevalent representation here, or people that make carts, maybe homemade or otherwise? Um, just the types of things that are more geared towards some of your players that maybe are a little bit older, and some of the products that might be geared toward them. I don't know. I'll report back, but that's the
Yeah,
plan
please
for tomorrow night.
yes, let me know.
Thursday night, and this all actually, what a segue. Thursday night, we're going to be having a presentation by the Flying Disc Museum and what they have going on. And Mike, who's really our point of contact for that, actually just walked in, so we'll be able to break that down. Friday night, I think there's going to be a party downtown. It's kind of an open-ended night. Friday night, that's going to be taking place here in Flagstaff, and then Saturday night, of course, awards. Everything
Mhm.
else will be then starting to wrap up, and then the real chaos begins. So,
Flagstaff, where we ran from the
yeah,
cops.
no, 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 no. We did everything legally and on the up and up. We don't have to tell those stories.
Okay,
All right, Johnny. So as I was just saying, Mike actually just walked in. So I guess the question is, logistically, does it make sense for us probably to end our regular show,
sure.
do our quick segue into the after show? We can get Mike set up. We can talk about what's going to happen. He can headline our after show, and then we'll be able to conclude from there. How's that work?
That sounds like a fantastic plan, Terry Miller.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone out on the board. I see you guys all participating. Make sure that you stick around. As I said, we're going to have Mike Hughes from the Flying Disc Museum. He's going to join us in just a few moments. We're going to have our regular giveaway, of course, for all our Patreon subscribers, and we'll answer any other questions that come in off the board. Tim says, "Get Mike a mic." Yes, believe it or not, I'm actually all set up to put a mic on him. So we've got this all under control. You guys are going to be so impressed. All right, that's all I've got. That is the Smashbox TV podcast 462. For Johnny V, I'm Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy. We're going to have an after show, a very special one at that tonight. We'll see you then when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the Smashbox TV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/smashboxtv.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Smashbox TV's podcast 462's After Show. We're not in sync, Johnny. That was terrible. All right. Nonetheless, Johnny V is going to stand down for just a little while. Well, I'm going to welcome a very special guest. I have Mike Hughes joining me. Mike, welcome to Smashbox.
Thanks, Terry. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining. I've been talking up a little bit about the things taking place this week. Obviously, the competition, the banquets going on. We had the ceremony yesterday, the opening ceremony. But you're here for a very special reason, and I'm pretty excited about what you guys have going on. So, introduce yourself. Tell everybody what's going on.
All right. Hello, I'm Mike Hughes. I'm the curator, director, and founder of the Flying Disc Museum. We're really excited to be here this week because we are going to be putting on our inaugural collectors convention. So we've spent the last 4 to 5 months preparing all these great displays. We've brought in over 1,000 different artifacts, Frisbees that date back to 1948, all up till about a week ago. I mean, it's the full range. It's going to be super exciting to see. In addition to all of those things, we're going to have a couple of great speakers. Phil Kennedy will be talking about the history of Frisbee, its origins. So all the myths and other things that are out there will be dispelled, and the truth will come out, certainly according to Phil.
Uh-huh.
And I think another great feature is we have Jeff Homburg, technical committee chair with the PDGA since 1990. And not only will he give a great presentation, but then following that, we're going to have a couple of demos. And he will be doing one, bringing all of his PDGA equipment and actually testing a brand new disc for approval. So anyone that comes will see exactly how the PDGA does it.
Johnny, who's off screen, was going to love that, because one of the things we do almost every single Tuesday here on the show is we very quickly read through as all the new manufacturers, not new, any manufacturer gets a disc approved. It obviously goes into some kind of process through Jeff, and then the PDGA puts it on the website, and most weeks we'll kind of quickly skim through and read off. So let me start there. So that's really cool that Jeff Homburg, who's out of Arizona, Tucson, he's been doing this approval process, as you said, since 89 and 90 in that time frame.
1990, yep.
And he's going to actually bring the calipers and all the other details and then log it and give a disc all the testing that it would normally go through.
Exactly correct.
And could be approved right on the spot live.
Yes, it will be.
That's pretty cool.
Well, and from behind the scenes, right? I mean, people, well, it's PDGA approved, it's on the hot stamp. But how many people have actually seen the process?
Yeah.
So I think it'll be.
That's pretty cool. So I'm excited to see that. And I want to backtrack just for a second. You say Flying Disc Museum immediately when most people think of museum, you're thinking of a brick and mortar, you're thinking of a physical store and location. Yep. However, that's not the case. So explain what people would see in the Flying Disc Museum as Johnny finds the link and puts it in the chat board.
Awesome. Well, I was a financial planner. So when I wanted to start this museum back in 2017, I spent 3 to 4 months analyzing what a bricks and mortar would do. And it was just not going to pencil out. So we thought about doing the next best thing, which was a virtual museum. So we created this platform, and it's at theflyingdiscmuseum.com. Mm-hmm. And we spent a year. So I went online and I actually found 4 other like-minded longtime Frisbee collectors. And we became the 5 founders or co-founders, curators. We spent a year putting together how we wanted our museum to be structured. And currently we have about 40,000 artifacts. And it's not just flying disc, it's everything associated with the flying disc. So you can look at Pluto platters, you can look at the latest destroyer, you can look at T-shirts,
trophies I've given away.
Trophies you've given away.
Sure.
And what's nice about it is that because we just do all of this with photographs and then we describe them, because it's very important for all of us who've been doing this for so long that as we age, our memories start to fade. Provenance is more difficult to come by. So we thought this is the greatest way to preserve the legacy of the game and the sport that we've come to love. And we're here to show people what it's all about and then really talk to them about becoming contributors. Because at the end of the day, I'd like to get 100,000 items on here. And
Mm.
the only way that happens is if we can get others to participate with us.
Yeah, and Johnny, if you could bring it up again, what's so incredible, as you said, over 40,000 different items that are out there. If I know Tom McManus is a good friend of the show. Tom McManus ultimately introduced me to you.
Yeah.
But Tom McManus has been taking discs and has been taking trophies and bag tags and all these other types of things. Like you said, so much more than just the discs. And then you guys are basically using all the various, meta logging and data logging, right? To kind of break it up. So if somebody wants to go out and search, they can go out and look for something. Give us maybe an example that Johnny could click on. Obviously you have it broken out by the discs and the types and the manufacturers, but even other things you could search for.
Absolutely. The search routine on the website is pretty robust. So you could search for virtually anything you want. You can search for a hot stamp, a tournament name, a disc manufacturer, a type of mold. You can type in a color. You can type in someone's name. Type in Terry Miller. Let's see
Oh
if Terry
no! Oh
Miller's in
no!
the
Oh no!
museum.
This could be trouble. Yes, because of Tom McManus, I know there are a number of items. He plays in a lot of the events that I've run. He also comes up to Wisconsin to play in a lot of different things. I guess the question is it under Terry Miller? Is it under the disc golf guy? Johnny, come on, you got to be able to find me in there somewhere.
Woo! Look at that.
Wow. Okay.
Man, look at that.
And again, this is all credit to Tom McManus, who's taken all of these different discs that he's either won or gotten a player pack or just straight up borrowed from me to take a picture, which we'll talk about some of those specifics. But he then takes a picture and then puts in all of that extra data so that somebody could find it.
Correct. So that's why all the metadata in there is searchable. And so we set up a very simplistic photo booth.
Mhm.
They're very cheap, easy to do, portable. There's no post-production work. And we upload the photographs. We have certain formats for descriptors that
Mhm.
tie in. So that disc you'll be able to see who made it, what style is it, what mold is it, what plastic is it, when was it PDGA approved, all the data that's important to anyone that wants to do any research on that particular item.
Uh, I've got about 10,000 discs or so that I own. Where do you draw the line as to, does it matter if it's old or if it's, I'll say, beat up, or if because I can't see myself if I have 400 Ontario rocks, for example, but 33 of them are black with red stamps. Should someone want to put them all up, or just one representation of those, or what's kind of like a guideline that you would give to someone?
That's a great question. And it doesn't matter the condition or anything else. What we had talked about doing, what you're referring to, but at the end of the day, it's virtual and it's a photograph.
Sure.
So why not, if you've got 30 black Ontario rocks and all the stamps are red, if they're different stamps, we want them all,
Okay.
right? So the coolest thing about it is, if Google is here 100 years from today, the fact is that, your grandchildren's grandchildren can Google you and everything that you've been associated with. So it's not only what you upload or what one of my greatest MVP curators, Tom McManus, will do,
Hmm.
is even if he'll upload it, he's the contributor, but he will say something like, disc is courtesy of Terry Miller or Terry the Golf Guy. And any of those resources will allow you to search for that.
Okay.
And you're just more world famous than you already are. So,
All
man,
right. So let's get to a couple of specifics. We won't keep you too long, but give us a couple of maybe some of the goodies either that they'll see come Thursday night, or some of the things that you've brought along that you could share with the world that should wow us, because we don't get to see stuff like this that often.
Well, I don't have a lot of that, but let me say that um, not only do we have all the great presentations and all 1,000 discs on display, but we also have an ongoing trivia questionnaire contest. When you walk in, we have a great big acrylic case full of Frisbee minis.
Okay.
You can guess how many minis there are. We have raffles. We have some other great things that we can't talk about right now, but
A
here's a
silent
fun thing.
auction as well, right? A
Yes.
silent auction with 30 some items, 31
31, yeah,
items.
super rare, high quality items, and all of that goes to support the museum. Every dime goes into providing that. And I think one of the cool features, I hold it up like that.
Yep, yep,
Okay,
perfect.
if you can see this, this is a mini frisbee that is cut into thirds. And I did this little contest back in 1980, so we're carrying on the tradition. And what happens is when a competitor rolls in, we hand them a piece of mini. The first 3 folks who can match up this mini will win one of 15 discs that were made up limited edition just for this event. And they're as collectible as you'll get. It's a beautiful hot stamp that commemorates what we're doing here. It's organic, so it fits green with the whole theme of the tournament.
Sustainability and green.
Yeah,
Yep.
so
Hmm.
a lot of great things that people can come to get. That's put out by Eurodisc. It's made in Germany, completely organic, pretty cool.
Yeah, and as it says right on here, Flying Disc Museum, and it's not going to focus quite yet for me. Maybe my face is. Anyway, so it says Flying Disc Museum and PDGA Masters Disc Golf World Championships, limited edition of 15. So yes, very cool. That was awesome. All
Yes,
right.
indeed.
All right, so contest, and that sounds also like a little bit of a icebreaker mixer here to go find the other 2/3 of your mini.
Absolutely, right? I
All
mean,
right.
what a great way to meet all of your peers is to just walk around and say, "Hey, I got a red hot stamp. What do you got on the bottom?" I did this, like I said, back in 1980. It was super fun, and to this day, I still have that piece of mini and the special frisbee I won.
Any marriages as a result of this? Okay. All right. All right.
I like that.
Just saying. All right. Give us another any other goodies that you might have that you could share and give a little background for our listeners or viewers out there.
Well, I didn't really bring too much in the historic
Okay.
realm, hoping folks will come, but I did want to share a few things. So, when people become contributors and join the museum, it's free, it's very easy to do. You just have to take a few photographs of 10,000 items or go hand them off to Tom.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
we also have swag, right? So, we
Mhm.
recognize the people that support the community. And if you contribute 25 items,
Mm.
then what happens is you end up with a custom AVR from Innova with your name actually hot stamped directly in it,
Huh.
with a custom FDM logo with your number on it. So it's only 25 items, and this thing you can hang on your wall, and no one else has them. They are as
No.
custom, one of a kind as you can get.
That's awesome.
And you
Okay.
can go throw it if you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't imagine.
I feel like you'd want to collect it if you're part of the collect. Okay, but
I
yeah.
would think, but
Yeah.
some people are all about that.
Uh-huh.
And if you get to 100, then you have it's an 82 mold with a super special copper and metallic blue hot stamp, again with a custom label. And we also have your name and your number printed on that. It does not take a lot of time. And again, for us to continue to grow and to continue to really kind of create all the history that we want to have, we need the community support
Yeah.
because this is for them. It's for all of us.
Yeah, and as you said, permanently then stored in history and on the Googles and on the internets and all that stuff, which will then outlast all of us.
Yes.
Johnny, if you could pull up a disc, please, just random. You could really grab any disc. I just really quickly want to talk about what like the protocol and the procedure is. There's a few specific things you guys want when someone's taking a photo, because we all have a phone. We all, or some people still have their digital cameras or your phone.
Right.
Kind of give us a little bit of the criteria or the process when somebody wants to submit a photo, because you want it to conform, right? You want a little bit
Correct.
of conformity here.
Absolutely. It's important to us that it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Okay.
But that quality doesn't take a lot of time. The disc that you're looking at, in essence, we just want to have a black background with a light up above it. That's
Okay.
really all there is. We actually have got a materials list that you could go to any arts and crafts store and spend about $30 and build your own. It takes 4 square feet. What's important is that we don't have any supports. So in this case, where you have a solid disc, you can put anything behind it, a bookend, a brick, whatever will hold that disc up,
Okay.
because we don't want anything laying flat.
Okay.
Okay. And as long as the Frisbee is represented, its color and its hot stamp is correct, then we're good to go. So people can go onto the website. They can go under sign up as a contributor. We create a upload folder for them. They get complete access. They can take photographs with their cell phone. It's a matter of uploading them, and then I will talk to them and make sure that all of the features are correct. And if they're not, we work with them until we get it right. And once you get the system down, you can crank it up.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Jeff came up Hamburg, and he brought up several thousand PDGA discs, and I photographed 1,800 of them in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So I am retired. Okay, so that's a difference,
Yep.
but it is not that hard to do. You can just go crazy. And again, these are shot by different people, and yet you'll notice that much of that is very similar. In fact, one of my famous curators sitting just off camera, these are some mini shots that he took.
Yeah.
So Leiden and Lyle, he's got it going on.
Well, and I love it because when you're out on this site, as Johnny continues to flip through them, there's minis, there's trophies, there's T-shirts, there's discs. That's from the '80s in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Something that I know very much about in that particular disc.
Yeah.
Just the history and the preservation of being able to see these stamps and know. And here it is. There's a disc that was different colors but the same stamp. Just awesome that you can look at the variations and just what an incredible reference point for so many people. I know that if I ever wanted to clarify something, that now I could go out there and possibly look around and be like, oh, well, this stamp was from this year or whatever. It's awesome. And I can't say it enough. Tom has taken a ton of discs from me, and he continues to then photo them and then put them up. So I'm not doing any real work yet, except
That's
for housing
okay.
some of these Frisbees.
The fact that you'll give those to him, and,
Yeah.
it's great. And I would add to that, what happens is when you have historic discs, actually anything in the 70s or 80s, or even maybe some of the old Discraft discs, a lot of that plastic will start to deteriorate.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen gold hot stamps turn to silver. I've seen copper fade and crack.
Sure.
So what's cool is that you can go back and look at a beautiful, pristine photograph of what it was originally. And if it deteriorates in the future, okay, bummer, but we have it preserved.
Okay. All right. Well, my final question, second to last question is throw or collect? Throw or not throw? Maybe that's a better way to word, because a lot of people get discs. Some of them most of them for some people will never even touch the ground or go into another hand other than maybe the box they were shipped into and then the person that received it, and then it gets stuffed in another box or put in a case. I have to ask, you throw in your Frisbees? Do you hold back on anything anymore?
My motto was always buy 3, 1 to throw, 1 to trade, 1 to keep. And so, yeah, I throw a lot of them. And then you find the rare one once in a while that you can't throw.
Yeah. Okay. Because that's often the argument, and whether it's from an ace disc or a new release and everything in between, a lot of people, when they see collector pricing and they see what goes on in a collector world and sometimes these crazy prices, they'll say, discs are meant to be thrown. Like that's probably one of the most common phrases that gets used. Or, well, that's stupid. Discs are meant to be thrown. I don't know.
Well, and that's fine. Go out and throw them, but guess what? Put it on your little
stand.
Photograph it first, and then go throw it.
All right.
Right? That's all there is. So you
take
get
a
to
picture
do both.
first.
Yeah.
All right. So 100,000. When we were guessing earlier in the show, when's the first time we're going to see $100,000 paycheck in disc golf for an individual event? When are we going to see 100,000 items on the site?
Well,
What's
because of your support,
yeah.
We have 40 now, and that was in our 5th year.
Okay.
And we're looking to try to, out of 848 people, if I can get 5 solid contributors, right? All it requires is 5, because we've got one guy, Brian McAleese, out of Pennsylvania. He puts up 15 a week. He's got almost 4,000 items in the museum. He's my rock star, besides my curators. If I could get 3 or 4 more of those, I see 100,000 in the next 5 years.
Okay.
So I'll be back in 5 years. We'll talk about it then.
We certainly will. Okay. And I want to look through your stash of great discs as well.
Sounds great.
Full disclosure here, everyone. Mike graciously let go of one of an Ontario rock, of which I've actually never seen before, which is difficult to come by. And that's because it was a 150 class Ontario rock that had not a Four Palms,
It
the
was
Florida Four
Yeah,
Palms.
yeah, Florida
Yeah,
Four Palms.
Four Palms. I don't have it with me right now. I wish I did. But it was an event that was what the 150 class championships, 150 class world championships, and I've never seen that stamp on an Ontario rock. That's, I guess, the only ones I look for. I've never seen that stamp before, and he graciously let one of those go. And I also picked up an early run Comet, which rocks. The Ontarios and the Comets fly very similar. And many of you know I'll throw both. Well, not those two, but I do. I enjoy throwing them.
I
So
hope
I've
you
got a
charged
brand
him
new
a
one for the
lot.
collection.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, something like that. We'll talk pricing later.
yeah. Okay.
No, it was. So I very much appreciate that.
You
So
bet.
just a final thought is that Thursday night,
Thursday night.
this will take place. It'll be right here. Obviously, everyone that's the event is welcome to come. I'm going to record it, and then I'll eventually get it put out on the Disc Golf Guy channel as well. So
Great.
people will be able to take it in after the fact if they're not here. But looking
Great.
forward to it. First
It's
ever.
gonna be great. First ever inaugural, and we've built everything so that we can do it again, and we hope that we do. So 6 o'clock sharp. Come in, see everything, join all the contests, enjoy the presentations, learn a little bit, and have a good time.
What's your PDGA number?
1438.
1438. All right. Yeah, it's
Couple years.
1438. I think that's just 12 off of Duster. I think he's 14, or he might be 1455. Duster Don Hoffman in Wisconsin. So yeah. Okay, I love it.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
All right, everyone. We're gonna let Mike go. We've got prepping and other things to get done, and thank you for joining. I know you had dinner tonight, so thanks for stopping in, Lyle. Appreciate it, and looking forward to checking everything out on Thursday.
Thank you, Terry.
All right,
Thank
appreciate
you, everybody.
All right,
Take care.
everyone. That's Mike Hughes, and yeah, I'm gonna just grab your headset, and you're gonna be all good to go. There you go. Appreciate you, buddy. All right, thanks. All right, Johnny. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get in on some of that, those silent auctions and other things going on.
So-
Also, I've got to find the
So they're
remainder of
looking
my
for-
mini.
They're looking for any mini.
Thank you, guys.
Because I mean, my most favorite mini is Tom's first kill.
Oh, okay. What?
You don't. When one of the first events we ever went to in Illinois, we got back in the day you would get minis.
Okay.
Like that was always in the thing.
Yeah.
And Pat Sattler and I, for whatever reason, one of the minis that we got was just somebody had commemorated their first hunting kill, and so it says Tom's first kill, and it shows it's a stamp of a guy with a deer, and I don't know why, but it's one of my favorite minis. It's sitting in my mini thing. And I don't know if it's in here, so.
Well, you'll have to get it to McManus or set the booth up yourself so you can get it submitted.
That's right. The other thing I peeked around in here for was a couple of years ago, DD had done the signature disc of all the world champions, and I did not see that in there. I'm looking at the box, which I've never opened. It's still in the priority mail box, but I was like, that would be a very solid disc to have.
I mean, there's
stamped in there.
And you and I both know. I think most of our viewers know too, or listeners. I have so many incredible discs that I think are unique in. Obviously, I have a ton of different stamps. Stamps of tournaments I've run, tournaments I've attended, World Championship player packs. All these other things. I may not have the most unique, diverse, stamp collection on the planet, but I've got a lot of really unique discs that then were tucked away or were of a small run or of a really unique run of some kind as well. So whether it's the stamp or the actual disc itself, there's just. I could, most times when I see Tom McManus, I'll hand him like anywhere from 10 to 20 discs. He'll photograph them, and then we kind of rotate in and out as we go. And I could be doing that obviously for the next few years.
And I know
he may just have to come up and grab them.
The Flying Disc Museum, we obviously saw the Smashbox shirt, so that's. I mean, there's so many more things you could add to that. Think of all the disc golf cards that are out there that could be photographed and put out there, and just the collections that are now being created.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So it's really cool. I've known about the Flying Disc Museum for a number of years because of Tom.
Yes.
The fact that I got to meet Mike just 2 days ago, it was incredible to hear the whole story and a lot of what he had just told us. But it's just absolutely awesome, and I just think it's such an incredible tool and resource for everyone. And the more contributions that are in there, the better the history will forever be preserved in looking at stamps and discs and various years and yeah, comparing things. I just love it. So, all right. A couple other things on the board. I'm starting to get yet another minor headache here. I'm gonna drink some more water.
Drink some more
A
water,
couple other
sir.
things on the board. I'm seeing our good buddies Ace Run Productions, which led me to something that I didn't touch on in the regular show, which is post production for this event is going to include the efforts out of Gatekeeper Media, who is out there filming MP40 today. So there was a feature card of Gatekeeper Media filming MP40. FP40 is being filmed by our good friends over at Ace Run Productions. So they're doing FP40 as they just posted on the board, editing and commentary. Looks like it may be just wrapped up. So they're going to be looking for upload. And then Sky Heiser, I believe, is the other post-production company that is officially out here filming. They're filming MP50. So MP40, MP50, and FP40. And I believe, and they can maybe clarify on the board, I believe those are all getting still uploaded, though, to the PDGA Media's page. So although it's those men and women breaking their backs, doing all that legwork, they were contracted by the PDGA. So you will find all of the coverage all listed under the PDGA Media's YouTube page. And somebody could clarify that, but I believe that's the case. All on the PDGA channel, yes. So something else I didn't touch on that was very noteworthy in the regular show as well. One of my other main functions and roles here of this week, except for in addition to seeing all these incredible people that I've missed at Worlds for the few years, is every day I'm going to be with Grant Zellner, and we're doing a daily recap. Today was a preview. The next few days will be daily recaps of what's taking place here at the Worlds. So similar, but maybe a little bit more expansive. I would compare it to a Tournament Central that you've been seeing on Disc Golf Network. These guys have been honing in their exact process and the style. They did it at the Tim Selinsky. They did it at Am Worlds. They did it at Am Nationals.
Am Nats is where I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even another event. So they've done it at least at 3 other majors, and here we're doing it this week. So I love working with everyone, even Grant. No, I love working with everyone, and in addition, Grant now he's the host, and I'm helping out in whatever capacity. I did a few of the interviews today that will then get fed into the show tomorrow. So again, think kind of like a post wrap-up show for like you see at Tournament Central. However, we've got way more divisions, and therefore I think a lot more conversations to be had throughout the week. So that's taking place every day. Again, PDGA Media on YouTube is where you'll find that, and I think they were putting it out on the Facebooks as well. So look for those to get uploaded every single day, and that's, for lack of a better term, that's kind of my main role and main function of the week. And then I'll continue to do a lot of other things to help fill in. All right. So wanted to make sure we got that plug out there. And then I'm going to touch on it real quick. Ray said something that I heard from a PDGA rep right before I went live. So I don't know all the details, but Ray is touching on it on the high level, saying that, the PDGA released new rules for adaptive disc golf. Glad to see the efforts of inclusion and accessibility. I'll be the first to admit I wish we had a PDGA rep here. I think they're doing banquet stuff or editing. But yes, that was released, and I don't know a lot of the details. Did you happen to see any more about it, Johnny, other than that
I did breeze through it, and there's like really 6 or 7 main differences. Of obviously the biggest one is the lie. You know, taking your lie. Normally you need to have a supporting point behind within about 11 inches, I believe, 11, so about a sheet of paper is what we always say. That is adjusted. That is changed for adaptive play. You now, I believe, can have for, and I believe it's different for different adaptive devices, but for a wheelchair, it's now like up to 2 meters behind your disc. And I forget exactly how wide, but then you can have the each tire on the side of the discs to line yourself up. They made some changes as far as what the TD can, I believe, suspend play for, as far as inclement weather and mud, just mobility reasons, obviously. I did not get the full thing. I want to go through and read it much better. I just saw a brief synopsis of it that pointed out 5 or 6 of the primary adjustments. So, again, coming from a guy who has a child with disabilities, I love it. Different abilities, however you want to discuss it or frame it. It's an amazing thing. I'm really glad that we are making the adjustments for that. We can hope that we will see more courses that can be adaptive as well. That's I think the biggest part is that everybody, we've talked about it a million times. Everybody wants to create these world championship courses. That's fine and dandy, but what we need is more urban courses. We need more city courses. We need more small spas land locally. Here is a great example where none of the holes are really
more
over
wheelchair
200,
accessible,
which is a much more accessible. Even spas land could be difficult depending on the time of day and what's going on. More paved courses, with a good path that is able to be around a lot of areas. It's going to be, I mean, it's a long pursuit, but I'm very glad that we've taken the first couple steps to adjust the rules for this. It's great.
Yeah.
I can't, smile enough for it.
Yeah, I was blessed a few years ago in Milwaukee County, who has supported disc golf largely. There are 2 facilities in Milwaukee specifically that had reached out and said, we have a little bit of an area. We'd like to make it there's obviously some, and I don't claim to know all the details, but there was, there's wheelchair accessible, there's wheelchair friendly. There's some various terms that you don't really want to mix up. You want to know what those all mean. But they basically said, can we make something that was wheelchair friendly? And we were able to, in 2 different spots within Milwaukee County, I had gone out and basically designed like a 3-hole loop of 3 different holes that if someone were in a wheelchair, very flat, there was a paved trail around at one of them, and it was much more practical. And then it was exactly for that use. I was going to say too many people, you could treat it as a practice area as well, but the real intent of it was so that someone would have more accessibility to it. And that was just a little tiny drop in the bucket. And obviously, I think we could get more expansive from there. And I think that will continue to happen as our awareness grows and so on and so forth. We saw Scott Stokely. I think he had a challenge that he posted maybe on his YouTube channel recently about playing in a wheelchair along with someone else. And I didn't get a chance to see it all, but I know he had put it out there. And we know some of the efforts that Scott's putting out in helping various groups and underserved and maybe underrepresented groups. So kudos to him for doing that. And it's all about that awareness and things that a lot of us probably take for granted. And I know, last point, I worked with the Wisconsin School for the Deaf in southeastern Wisconsin at one point. This was a full decade ago now. Finding other opportunities, other unique instances where disc golf can get implemented. That was something that they did, and we've heard of, and maybe this is within the rules, the new rules. We've heard of organizations also attaching devices so that somebody that's blind could still then
that is allowed.
Yeah, exactly. So awesome. All of it's very cool. I'm not going to claim to be an expert in any of it, but I know it's all a step in the right direction. As you said, puts a big smile on all of our faces for adaptive disc golf. Yeah, very cool. And absolutely not practical out here. There was a comment made just last night in terms of even just being able to pull a cart. A lot of these courses out here, some rugged terrain. Unfortunately, I've seen a few people and heard of a few people taking a spill, or there's just a lot of lava rock, a lot of undulation, the sand. There's a lot of factors out here.
Kale took a spill, I think, and roughed up his knee and his leg during doubles.
Yeah, and now he's only leading the tournament. So boo-hoo.
Think of what he would be doing without it.
Yeah, exactly. And Dave was his partner, and Dave threw him to that spot in doubles. And
It's Dave's
Just
fault.
saying.
I mean, that is a strategy we don't see implemented enough. Is
Get them in doubles.
convince
Injure your
someone to play
partner.
doubles, and then make
Yep.
sure to wreck them at doubles so you can beat them at the
Yeah.
big event when it counts.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty funny. Not funny, but in the big picture, obviously, Kale has battled his way at least to the point where he's in a tie for the lead at the moment. Someone asked earlier, Philo not in the mix. I did like reflect on that just for a moment again today. I knew he wasn't here, but I thought, wow, yeah, Philo's commitment to broadcasting in Norway and at the European Open takes him out of the running to be here to possibly earn a world title. I mean, obviously getting the Tim Selinsky major a few weeks ago, but not even here to possibly win a world title. Uh, are you surprised by that, Johnny? I mean, he's obviously could be here and in contention this weekend.
I guess I'm a little surprised by it, but when Philo won his major a few weeks ago, he didn't. He had already made his plan, so it's not like he got his majors like, cool, I got one. Now I can go to Europe.
Sure,
it is a little surprising, but Philo sees the big picture for his future.
yeah.
I mean, and we can say it or not. All these guys will appreciate a major title behind their name.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same as a major title for in the Open division. They all realize, they all know what what they're playing for. So I think Philo has that a little bit probably in his back pocket, in the back of his head, thinking it's not a world championship, it's not an Open major. He is taking the opportunity to go overseas, and he knows he'll have hopefully 9 or 10 more of these majors, world majors, that he'll be able to attend and hopefully be competitive at. He's a spry old guy, that Philo. So it's a little surprising, but honestly, knowing Philo the way we do, having worked with him, he knows where his future is and where he wants it to be.
Tim says he can play next year, which obviously he can. And Dondo Disc Golf says, no surprise at all. Philo is about that money. It's straight up business move. Let's not forget this is a business. Yeah, I mean, you're clearly you go overseas and you're part of the network and you're sitting in as a color or a host, color commentator or a host. Yeah, you're guaranteed money no matter what. No matter what the weather conditions are like, no matter what happens, Philo is going to get a check for being part of those events, as opposed to being here where you're out here playing for it. So I'm not second guessing it. I'm not passing any judgment on it. It just is interesting for the fact that he is still very much could be in that conversation. Now, if Philo were rated, I'm not ripping on anyone clearly, but if Philo were rated 960 and his chances of winning here were much slimmer, then maybe that decision is so much easier. But the fact that he could be competitive here, I think, is why it's fair to still ask the question. So, Johnny, we didn't even talk about the ratings update that we didn't care about, but ratings update did happen today. So it is worth pointing out. Ray says Kristen Tatar is rated 994. Do you get to 1,000? Will she get to 1,000 soon?
No.
I'll just simply say, obviously, it's the math. Yeah, she plays so well, and she does put up these incredible rounds, but the hurt that the 960s and the 970 rated rounds, and if you have a couple of them in a weekend, is impressive as it's all been. Obviously, she has the best chance to get there right now, but it's just math, and she's still got a lot of work to do. Those last 6 points are going to be so hard to
climbing
overcome.
A mountain. They're climbing a mountain with those. I believe, and the ratings formula it's a black box. We don't exactly know how it works. We have a general idea of, how they get the rating once the ratings are out, but we don't necessarily know how to get the ratings. I believe I saw someone say she has to average about 1,006 over the next 4 tournaments. Which she's never done. She's never averaged over 1,000 more than, I think, 2 tournaments. And so she has to do
Sure.
it for 4 or like for the next 2 months or something is what I saw. I'm not exactly sure the exact, but it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult
Yeah.
because she tends, I don't say tends to, that's a bad way to put it. When she wins, she might put up 1,010 round and then 2 980s or 990s and still win.
Sure.
But the numbers are just very difficult. She has, as you said, she has the best chance to do it. She's the best FPO player in the world right now. But
and
that's some tough math coming up because based on what's dropping and what's, she's dropping some low rounds, but she's also dropping some really good rounds.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's
very,
going to constantly
very
be
tough.
Yeah. Someone had asked about what did Paige get. Paige's highest rating, which is the current highest rating ever
996
for a woman, was 996. So Kristen, 2 points short of that. Again, that's not something that's on probably Paige's or Kristen's mind at any point in terms of they care about the win-loss columns. But yeah, Paige does have the highest official rating ever at 996. I don't second guess if Kristen will either get to 996, 998, or 1,000. I don't second guess that she will get there or can get there. I don't know if she will, but I would definitely not bet against it. That's for sure.
No, I would. I don't think she'll get to 1,000 this year, but I'm not going to bet against her getting to 1,000 in her lifetime
until she rattles off, 9, 10 rated rounds in a row, and we're like, okay, well, yeah, that's possible too. So,
100%, 100%. I just, like you said, the math is difficult, but if there's somebody that can beat math, it's Kristen Tatar.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, she I think has that skill. I don't know that I have much else. I don't know if we have any other significant questions. I will say, in a completely disc golf related note, and maybe I didn't get that chair out of the shot. Out of
no one can see it because we're in a.
Oh, never mind. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I clicked on. Now I know I'm late to this party. I've officially now watched 5 or 6 episodes of Black Mirror.
Oh, so you're at like season 1.
Season 1, which was only 3 episodes.
So you started out with the pig episode.
Yeah, and I was like, okay,
wow, because
what a starter.
That is. I remember watching that with
we're not easing into this.
No, there's no easing you into it. That is just drop you into a what if scenario.
Wild.
I don't believe they get. To me, that is one of the craziest episodes. There's a lot of them that make you think. Okay. That I believe is one of the craziest. You're like, wow. Okay. And I haven't had a chance to get to the newest.
Like, okay, season. This is what everybody's all about, huh? This show, okay.
Yeah,
So I know I'm late. I'm 4 or 5 years, or at least 4 or 5 seasons late to the party. That's fine. I don't care. It popped up actually on Netflix, and I thought I heard other people talking about it because everybody throws out their suggestions every other day, and there's 1,000 of them thrown at you. So I clicked on it. Yeah, the pig episode is the first one. And so now I've consumed, I'm at somewhere in the season 2. But anyway, yeah, of course, I find it pretty interesting. It's been a wild ride. And yes, everyone's been talking about how the new season is out. And that, I think, is what then regurgitates the conversation.
Sure.
And so that's why it was, I had never... I honestly couldn't tell you a thing about it or knew anything about it. I just knew a lot of people were talking about the new season being out, and when it popped up, I clicked on it.
If you want a palate cleanser after that, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
The
story of Britney Spears.
No, the TV series, good. I Think You Should Leave.
No, I'm already watching that one. I think we've talked about this a little bit. Yeah.
Right, good.
That one is very quirky, and I love
it.
I think my challenge is I feel as if too many of the skits all funnel, not all, a lot of the skits funnel into the same not methodology. That's not the word I'm looking
bizarre.
For. Yeah, bizarre. They kind of they funnel into a very similar path by the end, which largely involves him just yelling really loudly at a lot of people. And it's funny, but it feels like it's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not tip stereotypical, but they just kind of eventually
repetitive,
channel it. Yeah, a little bit repetitive, but
and I haven't caught the
overall,
newest
yes.
season yet, so I do want to catch the
I'm way
newest one.
back.
But
I don't know how many there are, but I'm still back on like
there's only
season 2 or 3
there's only
ish.
3 seasons, so
Oh, okay. Well, then I must be in season 2 still,
yeah.
somewhere in there, because I know I'm not on the most current.
Yeah, the one
Did you
the
guys
one that
sign
I
up?
love to keep watching is Coffin Flops. I laugh every time. I'm almost in tears.
That
That's
yes,
one of the
that
funniest
was
things.
good.
And him in the hot dog
Ray
suit. Gotta love it.
Ray says, "Did you guys sign up for Threads? What are your thoughts? Elon versus Zuck is something."
Um,
Yeah, Threads. I mean, Johnny, you had a quick take on it, and just like Twitter, though, I can like go on it, look around for an hour, and then forget about it for 3 days. That's just I'm not that invested in obviously either of them, but
I'm more invested in Twitter still, only because like most of the people who I follow haven't moved over to Threads. I
sure.
follow a lot of disc golfers on Twitter, so
Mm-hmm.
some of them have moved over to Threads. My problem with Threads is that it
Makes too
d-
much sense.
no, like it's almost like you don't have enough content because every time I go there, I'm seeing content from people I don't know or I don't care about.
Yeah.
And call it a silo that I want to just see the people that I follow until they get a
Sure.
feature where it says, "Hey, these are the people I follow. These are the only ones I want to see." And then if after I get through all the updates, then maybe show me suggestions. But right now, I'll log into it, and sometimes it'll be like, "Oh, look, my good buddy has posted." He posts on Threads once every couple days. Otherwise, it's like, "Hey, look, here's NPR, here's Fox News, here's AOC, here." It's just like I don't need. Here's somebody I've never heard of. Here's somebody posting a thirst trap picture. It's like I don't need this stuff, you know. If I want to watch, if I want that stuff, I'll go to TikTok, right?
Yeah,
So until they get an option and they say they're going to, where I can just filter it out by the people I follow, it's less interesting to me. And whereas of Twitter, I can still do that. As much as Twitter, again, if you keep social media to exactly what you need it, which is how I have Twitter, where I'm not delving out into the craziness too much, Twitter still works for me. Threads is working, but so I feel about both of them.
as nothing more than maybe some kind of timestamp for another decade from now. I just looked and it says that Threads now has 104 million users. So nothing for nothing. Clearly, their downloads was very impressive. I think it exceeded all of their
Oh,
expectations.
it blew them out of the water.
Yeah, and so the fact that you're seeing some of that now, whether this all translates into anything ever that we all have to worry about or care about, of course, pick your poison when it comes to any of your social medias. But again, timestamp saying, yeah, here we are, roughly a week later, if even, and 104 million downloads. So, yeah, something could be said of it. Also, something could be said of Ray Zay. Wow,
Zerhausen.
I'm getting
Zerhusen?
Zerhausen.
There you go.
Thank you. He said, just making sure the super chat still works. Yeah, it feels like it's been hibernating, and we need somebody to wake up the bear. So thank you. We appreciate that for jumping on there. Johnny, you can start getting a Patreon giveaway ready.
I have a Patreon giveaway ready,
do.
Terry.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to touch on as well.
And for tonight's Patreon, Terry's going to swipe something from the Disc Golf Hall of Fame, from
Flying
the
Disc
Flying Disc Golf Museum.
I guarantee you at least a third of a mini. You just have to find who it connects to. While you do that real quick, also, we'll see how things go. My channel might have some additional bonus content. I'm working on some of those details to possibly get stuff out as in addition to what I just said I was doing. And then that may or may not also lead to any other nightly updates or shows that I may or may not do. I really love the idea, honestly, of doing them, but then you get caught up in the madness that is this week, and it's tough to actually pull it off. So I can't make any promises, but I should do something. Maybe there'll be a Facebook Live or an Instagram Live to share some of the experience. Maybe I'll dip into something a little less of a lift and a little less formal. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens over the next few days as well. And before we get to the giveaways, I have to send a huge, huge thanks. Dan, Robin, Jamie, basically my host out here, First Light, the crew. I am coincidentally staying in the same lodging area there as Chris Orrick from Tennessee, who shot a good round today. He's just 1 or 2 off the pace, along with Dave Felberg. So I will be getting all of the good inside scoop on everything I need to know about this World Championships. We are at a place 10 minutes west of Little America, and I cannot say enough about Dan, Robin, and Jamie, who are my primary hosts here this week. It's been incredible. So thank you, thank you. You guys may or may not be watching. You may or may not be enjoying a beverage, but thank you guys. Yeah, this week has already been awesome, so I appreciate it. All right, Johnny, bring on the giveaways.
Bring on the Patreon. Patreon.com/SmashboxTV. Make sure to add that TV in there, unlike Terry did in his social media posts tonight. Smashbox TV. For as little as $1 a month, you can be eligible for our weekly giveaway, which we do weekly, which is why we call it the weekly giveaway. If you're not a Patreon member, you can go to smashbox.tv/weekly giveaways. But gosh, you got to do that every single week, and then next week after you got to do it again, and you got to do it again. It's easier just to become a Patreon supporter.
Yeah, a whopping $1.
A whopping $1. We would love it if for as little as a fancy cup of coffee, a couple gallons of gas, 2 bottles of sunscreen for Terry, a year.
Yeah, less than that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying a year. Like 2 bottles of sunscreen a year, and you can help support and save Terry from any skin cancer. So please,
yes, I need it.
If you're not a Patreon supporter, you're basically killing Terry Miller. That's how it works. So
yeah, the headache's already set in.
Patreon.com/SmashboxTV. Tonight we have 138 people eligible for our giveaway. We're going to give away something from Terry's stash, maybe something from Pro Masters Worlds if he can pick something up there. Can't promise that, but I
could probably swipe something at the Fly Mart.
Oh yeah, God, just 5-finger discount, Terry. Like, what are
but
these?
It's for a good cause.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
tell these old people it's for a good cause. Like, come on. Like I said,
I won't be stealing anything. I know there's a couple of haters that this will get clipped.
Yeah,
Terry would.
Terry said he was going to steal. All right, 138 people. Terry, what number should we draw?
Clearly, 3 is the magic number. You need a third of the mini to make that magic happen when we were talking to Mike earlier tonight.
The first number is 87. 3. The second number is 120. And our third number is 75. 75. I sorted it by first name. 75 is in the J's. Oh, it's Juhani Rautanen.
Nice. I was going to say, I wish it was Webb Warren. He's already here. I'd just go steal something from one table and hand it to him.
You'd steal something out of his bag and give it back to him. Congratulations, Webb. I stole this from you. I wasn't going to give it back.
Put your name on
and now I am.
Webb, I see you on the board. Good to see you this week. Best of luck the rest of the week to you as well.
Yes.
Here, Webb.
Good luck, Webb.
Yohani, congrats. Yes, we will get something out. I sent out a few more last week. I know somebody had asked about an older one. I got a few new addresses recently. I sent out a few before I left this week, and when I get home, I'll have a few more to send out. So if you are missing anything, again, send it directly to me. Send your address. Don't even mess around. Be like, hey, I didn't get something. Just when you send me that email, if I do owe you something or if we owe you something, send me the email, terry@prodiscgolfer.com, and then put right in there your address. Because if I haven't sent it to you, there's a good chance I don't have your address. So we can just skip one of the emails that would then transpire. Send me your address, and then I'll make sure to get it out. So awesome. I don't know if there's anything else pressing on the board, but I'm not seeing anything. I saw Mike was out there tonight. Mike Durko, old school. Appreciate you, Mike. A lot of our regulars, as always. Artie, thanks for joining us tonight. And Ray and Webb, along with Tim Courts. Tim's here every night.
Love it.
With Ryan Pilcher. So all of you guys, we very much appreciate you. And again, Ray, thanks again for the super chat. I'm looking forward to a hell of a week. I'm not going to lie. It's been so much fun just getting here a few days ago, seeing all of these people that Johnny, you and I used to either play with or compete against.
Yeah,
and
I'm of
just
all the
taking it all.
places you're going, I'm jealous of this one almost the most.
Yeah, it's been so fun. And then in addition, just all the kind souls that have said hi, that have introduced themselves, that have wanted a picture, an autograph, whatever it's been this week. There's been such an outpouring of love and support while I've been here, and I absolutely love it, and I'm glad to be here for it. This has been pretty cool. So Ray says, how many on-air personalities have been on DGN as host or on the course? That's fun trivia. How many have been on DGN as host?
As host or on course?
Yeah, there's probably a few buried that, and not in a bad way, but few that maybe were in for a weekend or two or filled in or whatever. Yeah, that would be a fun
How far
question to
back do you
put
go? Do you
everybody
just literally
together.
go DGN, or do you go back to Smashbox before it was,
Smashbox?
or even? I mean, you want to go back to Disc Golf Planet? No,
Yeah, I mean, where you drawing these
but
lines, but it's
I would say if I
down
would
to
draw the line at the Pro Tour, EGPT events and forward, 2016 or something.
yeah, that makes sense. Dondo says we need a PDGA retirement home for all the old PDGA geezers. I'm one of those geezers. My PDGA is 26939.
Oh, young buck there, buddy. 2.6.
Yeah. Johnny's
939.
14324.
Yep.
I'm 10738. Yeah. Yeah, you ain't that old.
There
Your
was
number
there
ain't
was
that old.
a card at this event where I believe 3 of the 4 of them were under 1,000, maybe even under 100.
Yeah, are you thinking about Tita Ugalde and in the F?
Hold on a
I'm trying to
second.
think of.
I can find it here for us in a second. Oh crap! Of course, it's gonna make me log
Now
in
that
now.
they've been sorted and everything else, it might be a
Yeah.
little more difficult. But yeah, I mean, there's some unbelievable, some very low numbers here, as you would expect at a Masters Worlds.
Yep.
It's absolutely incredible. So many of the
David
pioneers and early.
Johnson, PDGA 44. Michael Snap Conger, PDGA 60. Mark Horn, PDGA 67. And then
Yep.
the guy who, the young gun who's going to come in and dominate the field, Charlie Meade at PDGA 1980.
Yeah. Who signed up coincidentally in 1980.
Yeah.
So that's a little fun piece of history I learned yesterday.
Just, I mean,
yeah,
I made that joke. It's like, yeah, Charlie Meade's coming into this division thinking I'm the young guy at 1980.
yeah.
So
yeah, wild. Yeah, Tita Ugalde, Hall of Famer, under 100 as well. Yeah, there's clearly a ton of legends in so many ways here. PDGA number 3 regularly shows up at our putting league with Tita and Mark Horn. I talked to Mark and his wife last night. Saw them as well at the meeting. Obviously, you're talking about Stork. Yeah, he's one of the easiest to remember and recognize for sure, and one of the greatest humans on the planet, and such a blessing to all frisbee and disc sports, not just disc golf. So, all right, I could go on and on and on about all of our legends, but yet again, congratulations to all of our Hall of Fame members, that class of 2023, all 5 of them. Congrats. There's a couple aces. Zach Meeker is the name that rings a bell that I talked to briefly today. He aced hole 12 out here. Congrats to him and anyone else that got aces. Everyone stay safe. Have a good week out here. Stay hydrated. Take your time. Move, gingerly, not only the course, but also the altitude and the conditions. Be careful with that. While I'm at it, I'll just throw in the bonus tip of quit bitching. Enjoy why we're all here and each other's company and presence. I heard more complaining than I thought I would day one, and it disappointed me. So please take a deep breath, enjoy one another, enjoy the World Championships, because it's definitely something special. Whether it's your first or your 41st, just let's enjoy each other in our time here. I'm going to call it Johnny from Flagstaff, Arizona, and the PDGA Amateur and Professional Masters World Championships. Big shout out and thanks to Mike Hughes, another incredible human who I just met this week, and what he's doing with the Flying Disc Museum. Couldn't be more honored to help spread that message and share the word. Tom has been asking us to do so, and I'm glad we could. So for Johnny V, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. I'll see you the rest of the week from some hot, sunny fairway in Arizona in Flagstaff. We'll see you next week, though, when you step inside the Smashbox.